to welcome you to St. Anne's Conference Center for our monthly meeting. I am Chair Hans Johnson, and I'm calling this meeting to order. We will begin, as is customary, with the land acknowledgement. As approved by the Board of Supervisors in 2022 and again last fall. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano-Kij, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, the Gabrielino Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Kij Nation, Yuhaviatum of San Manuel Nation, the San Fernando Band of Mission Indians, the Coastal Band of Chumash Nation, and the Gabrielino Tongva Nation, as well as the Gabrielino Tongva Tribe. To learn more about the First Peoples of Los Angeles County, please visit the Los Angeles City County Native American Indian Commission website at lanaic.lacounty.gov. Welcome again, and today's agenda includes, but is not limited to, a recognition of a departing member of this commission. After 10 years of loyal service, we are saying farewell today to our own Patty Giggins, and I am very pleased that we are going to have some pomp and circumstance as part of today's COC meeting. Patty, it's wonderful to have you with us for this loving and appropriate send-off from your colleagues.
Yay.
And it's especially fitting given the many years of work Patty has done to effectuate one aspect of our mission, which is building bridges with the community and to build a sense of trust amongst stakeholders in the work of this commission. Thank you again, Commissioner Giggins. We will have updates on the Sheriff's Department's activities, policy changes and implementation, as well as significant incidents, crime stats, the status of meet and confer discussions, and in-custody deaths, about which there is some information in the agenda. We're going to have a presentation on voting rights of incarcerated individuals. We are also going to hear from the Office of Inspector General about their quarterly report. And we'll be talking about our own governance as a commission with the presentation of the slate of nominations for officers for fiscal year 26-27, pending the approval of that slate on this agenda for next month's voting. Just a reminder, while we encourage community members to share what they believe to be deputy misconduct, the commission has some hindrances and impediments to investigating complaints and reviewing LASD investigative files, as well as confidential information. And I'll note that there is a discussion that may ensue about an enforcement action that happened just this week by this commission on the Sheriff's Department, happened on Monday the 15th. We are not allowed to receive some information about complaints, even from the Office of Inspector General, but we are working on that under AB 1185 and under the terms of state law effective this January, AB 847. With that, I want to recognize Robert Flores, who did an excellent job last week on our community forum involving icy conditions, know your rights, navigate the law, which was also a marker of the one-year anniversary of what Supervisor Janice Hahn fittingly calls the federal invasion of Los Angeles County by masked ICE agents and heightened immigration enforcement. Thank you, Robert, for your exceptional work on that community forum, along with other COC staff. You can now proceed with the rules.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Before we proceed with public comment rules, I'd like to highlight that we are providing real-time AI interpretation of this meeting that supports more than 50 languages. Here's how you can access Wordly. On our meeting agenda, you'll see a QR code and a URL. Scan the QR code and click on the URL, then click on Attend. Once you have chosen your preferred language, translated captions will appear automatically on your device. Virtual meeting attendees can listen to the translation in real time by unmuting the speaker icon. Attendees here in person will need to use their earbuds or headphones. To ensure a productive meeting for all, please follow the code of conduct as follows. Speakers must cease speaking when their allotted time is ended. Public comment must be related to the agenda item and be within the Commission's jurisdiction. Public comment does not include the right to engage in dialogue with the Commission. Be respectful of the views expressed by the speakers, staff, and Commission members. Please refrain from profane, personal, threatening, derogatory, demeaning, or abusive statements. Do not disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. A person engaging in conduct that disrupts the meeting is subject to being muted or removed from the meeting. And now I'll go over the guidelines for making public comment. Those wishing to speak in person, please turn in your public comment card here. Those attending this meeting remotely, please use the raise hand feature on WebEx. If you're on the phone, please press *3. Each person called up to provide public comment will have up to 2 minutes to speak on the agenda item. The chair has discretion to change the allotted time due to time constraints. Non-agenda public comment will be heard near the end of the meeting. Now I will announce the rules in Spanish. Buenos días. Le damos la bienvenida a esta reunión a miembros de la comunidad que hablan español. No tenemos un intérprete, pero sus comentarios serán traducidos al inglés para la comisión después de la reunión. Si quieres un intérprete en el futuro, puedes enviar una solicitud 48 horas antes de nuestras reuniones. Si desea hablar en persona, completa una tarjeta en la mesa que dice comentarios públicos. Si desea hablar por WebEx, levante la mano. Si desea hablar por teléfono, presione *3. Simplemente diga la palabra español antes de comenzar y le diremos cómo proceder. Le daremos 2 minutos para sus comentarios públicos. Gracias.
Thank you, Robert. We will now proceed to call the roll for purposes of attendance and insurance of a quorum. I do want to note that Commissioner Newhouse is traveling out of the country. So we are expecting very shortly Commissioner Callaway. So please recognize those 2 items in our, oh, here he is. I'm sorry. He is here. Thank you. That's the peril of lateral seating. Thank you so much. Let's proceed with the attendance.
Co-Vice Chair Arthur Callaway. Commissioner Irma Cooper.
Present.
Co-Vice Chair Luis S. Garcia. Commissioner Patricia Giggins.
Here.
Commissioner James P. Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Jamon R. Hicks.
Here.
Commissioner London McBride.
Here.
With 7 commissioners.
And the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chair Johnson. With 8 commissioners present and 1 commissioner absent, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. That gives us 8 commissioners present today for business, and we'll try to get business done while we still have 8 commissioners. But we can function with as few as 5 present. The consent calendar consists of the Commission's May 21 meeting minutes. Are there any proposed changes for Commissioners' review, from Commissioners' review of the May minutes? Seeing or hearing none, I will accept the motion to approve. Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. With that, do we have any public comment on the item to approve the consent calendar?
We do not.
Okay. Can we just take a show of hands for approval of the consent calendar? All signify by saying aye. Who support? Any opposed? Any abstain? The motion passes 8-0. Now we will hear family impact remarks. This is a section of our agenda that we devote to hearing from families who have lost loved ones due to fatal use of force by LASD. The procedure for making public comment is linked to the agenda, and we generally ask family impact remarks presenters to contact the commission in advance. Robert, do we have any family impact remarks today?
Chair Johnson, we did not receive any requests.
Okay, recognizing that, we are prepared to move on with recognition. Oh, is there a public comment? Is there a family impact remark in the audience that was recognized by the staff in advance?
We did not. We can speak with you afterward about how to make public comment, or I'm sorry, how to make a family impact remark in the future.
And we look, maybe there's another opportunity that anyone in the audience wishing to make a comment can make according to the public comment standards that have been articulated by the staff. Thank you. We look forward to hearing from all members of the public wishing to address this body. The presentation of the scroll for recognition of Commissioner Giggins will occur shortly once we make sure that we have the arrival of the recognition. With that, I do want to recognize a previous, is it here? Oh, good news, the scroll has arrived. So with that, I want to take a moment to recognize formally our departing commissioner, Patty Giggins, who is leaving us after 10 years of service to this commission. She was a founding member of this commission in 2016, and including at the inaugural meetings of this commission in 2017. I'm very, very pleased that we have here with us the Senior Justice Deputy from District 3, representing Lindsay Horvath. Senior Justice Deputy Stephen Edwards is here on behalf of Supervisor Horvath to present the scroll to Commissioner Giggins. Stephen, it's a joy to have you, and I believe we even have a portable microphone for you.
Oh, sure you got your hand. See, is it okay if we stand up here?
Yes, yes,
All
indeed.
right. Yes, please. Well, thank you, Patty. First of all, thank you for Chair Johnson and members of the Civilian Oversight Commission. We just wanted to take this moment to appreciate and acknowledge Patty for her tremendous service on this commission, to the County of Los Angeles and its residents, and for staying true to so many things that we value, even amidst really just the most difficult circumstances. And Patty, you saw it through with a standard that I think we can all do our best to uphold. I appreciate you. I know the supervisor very much appreciates you, both in your service on the commission, your work with Peace Over Violence. You really have set a great example for all of us. And I look forward to hearing great things, and I hope you get very much time to yourself and get some time back and enjoy it. You deserved it.
So much.
I don't know if you want.
Higgins, from the commission staff, we appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to this commission and to the county. We know you've been through a lot, and we will right there along with you. We will miss you, but we will know where to find you, right? We did have a plaque, so a plaque is on its way. It is probably still being routed to this building, so hopefully it'll get here by 1. But in the meantime, please accept these beautiful flowers.
Yes.
Right there.
Two different pictures and then we'll. There you go. Good job. How about the rest of the commission? Move forward just a little bit. Step up a little bit.
this one, and then I want to bring a former commissioner. Kennedy. Former chair, former commissioner, who
Happens to be here today.
left after 9 years.
That's right.
Thank you for coming today.
And we're not done. And we're not done. There's one more.
There you go. There you go.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I know probably the last time you got a document from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, it probably wasn't a good one.
No. Nicely put.
Nothing like that on there, but that was years ago, different folks, different people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that you knew that I and the men and women of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department really appreciate your volunteer work with the commission for the last 10 years. You've done a lot. You've done a lot of really good things. You've been a good mentor and coach. And overall, you are building up our department and the community that we serve. So thank you. So here's a certificate.
All right.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure,
Here we go.
Yeah, this is the nice kind of Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, a much better one. Yeah, get the real one here.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, did you want me to say a few words?
The floor is yours.
Give her the mic.
I do that. Just brief.
Here you go, Patty.
Just briefly, in fact, when thank you so much for the, taking a moment to acknowledge the time that I've served with these wonderful people here and commissioners from past. And I look at at this room and our audience, and I see people that I met 10 years ago and who are still coming, people from the community who are still coming. And I'm sure there are people listening and watching who have paid attention for all these years about what the goal of what we're trying to do at the commission and in the county. And I just wanted to say so much appreciation for the opportunity to, I know in the early days, we spent a lot of time really listening, being out in the community and listening to the families and what the experiences they had. And in the beginning, we were not trusted. Who are we? This is a new group, appointed. We weren't elected by the community, we were appointed. And so we kind of had to prove ourselves. And it was a little rough, which it had to be, because we had to build up confidence. We had to get to know each other, get the community to know us, you know. And so I feel really good about that kind of work. And I also feel good about the fact that we could also hold up the goodness that happens in the sheriff's department. That the deputies are people too. And sometimes it's hard because we're so emotional, and some of the issues that they're life and death issues that we deal with, that the sheriff deals with, that the community deals with. And so it's very challenging. So I guess the only thing that I would say is, I just hope that we all you all, we all will continue to listen to each other. Like, and to open, yes, in a way, we start out, we're looking down. If we can lift up our heads and see, try to take all of it in. And it's hard because we have our own perspectives, we have our own traumas, we have our own obstacles, we have our own opinions. So I'm just hoping that we continue to work on that as a great LA community to, look up, look around, listen, and let go from the ears to the heart. And then the mind will make the best decisions. So I appreciate all of you. I appreciate this community. I love LA, whether we have soccer games going on or not, or Olympics. I love LA every day. And it's been a great opportunity to learn about where I live by serving in this position. And I just want to appreciate all of you. I want to appreciate the respect that Sheriff Luna gives this department every day. I want to appreciate the effort that these commissioners make every day to do the best that they can. So thank you all very much for this, taking the moment to recognize me.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Giggins. And I just want to add, as I think the only other out LGBT plus person on the commission, thank you for being a trailblazer in this commission work. Thank you for showing that there's a place in civilian oversight for LGBTQ plus people and for women, which we continue to need to make advances and make progress in establishing and in leading by example. And I'm wearing denim today, also in tribute to you for your work to create Denim Day as an international recognition to fight sexual assault and for sexual assault awareness. Thank you for your decades of work to uplift survivors and to tell survivors' stories in ways that, as you say, look up, out, listen, and connect people. So as I noted in the card, as I think I told you this week, you may be off the commission, but you are never out of commission. So thank you for your continued work. And I know I, for one, as will many of your colleagues here, continue to use you as a sounding board, as a counselor, and as someone to advise us in this ongoing work where we continue to fight for progress that you've done a great job trailblazing for. Thank you again. And I will note, as befitting any send-off of this warmth and seriousness, there's cake. So please save room for all attendees who might wish to partake of cake celebrating Commissioner Giggins' departure. I just want to thank all of you for being present today to join in this send-off for a really valuable colleague and commissioner. Do we have any public comment on this item?
We have one public comment. If Sean Kennedy could please take the
Oh,
podium.
Yay, my lawyer.
It's very nice to be back here, Patty, and I just wanted to come and personally thank you for all the work that you have done. Like most lawyers who are on the commission or were on the commission, I struggle with bridge building. Lawyers express their love and affection for the sheriff with criticism and cross-examination. Sorry, Sheriff Luna. The intention is to do just what you say, like really listen, really take the problems of the community and all the things they experience with over-policing and unconstitutional policing and balance them against all the problems that our sheriff's department struggles with because they have a difficult job as well. And I just want to say, like you, your advocacy on behalf of people struggling with mental illness and of being like there in a very human way for the families who whose loved ones died or suffered at the hands of use of force is so important, and you have taught all of us so much about the need to really like listen. It's not just about arguing about statutes and policies, but also really trying to be that bridge that you talked about. So even though I always struggled with it, I really think you're right about that. And I hope that all the commissioners will carry on your advocacy to really like promote real listening, really trying to be there to kind of build the kind of community that we all strive for and that we aspire for. And despite all that you've gone through, you've always been really optimistic about that, and you've never deviated from that. And so I just wanted to say what a important member of this commission you have been, and to say I was like humbled to represent you in hard times and thrilled to sit beside you in good times. So thank you.
I'm sorry, Chair Johnson, we have two more public comments. on this item.
Okay,
if-
let's proceed.
If Michelle Infante can please take the mic, and if Vanessa Perez can take the cue. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Patty Giggins. I had no idea this was going to happen today. I just happened to be coming, and I am so grateful that I am here in this moment, because I personally want to thank you for all the work that you've done from the very beginning when we didn't have a commission, to all of the fighting and listening and helping the families that you've done. You've done an incredible job, and you are the epitome of what a commissioner should be. Very much appreciated out here in the community and within people that worked in nonprofit organizations and those that don't anymore, me. But I just want to be able to thank you so much. You were so kind when we came to you, me and Mark Anthony, we wanted meetings, and you spent time with us, and every agenda item that we always tried to push forward regarding the families, you listened to that and you helped bring that forward. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I wish you the best.
Our next speaker is Vanessa Perez.
I just want to say real quick, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done for not only Joseph, but for every family that's come up here and expressed what's happened to them at the hands of the Sheriff's Department. So thank you from Joseph and me.
The next item is the customary report of the sheriff. We are glad to have Robert Luna with us again today. The sheriff will provide an update on recent activities, policy changes and implementation, significant incidents and events, the status of meet and confers, in custody deaths, and other remarks the sheriff wishes to make. Sheriff Luna, welcome back to the COC.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, Executive Director Mosley, and all the commissioners. It's great to celebrate a great person who has served us well and is moving on, but won't be too far from us. Want to say good morning to everybody that's either attending in public or on video. But I do want to use the majority of my time, and I want to address the lawsuit that was filed this week by the commission against my department. I believe there are some issues that were not considered, and I believe I have the responsibility of bringing them to your attention. I want to be crystal clear about a few things. I understand why this commission exists. I understand its importance to the public and to policing. I believe this commission should exist because I do believe in civilian oversight. I've said that from the very, very beginning. Obviously, through my actions, I've shown they're not just words. It is a core of my belief about 21st century policing or relationship-based policing and what it takes to be an effective law enforcement professional. I was elected in no small part because the people of Los Angeles County were exhausted by years of a sheriff's department that stonewalled you, that called you political lapdogs, that investigated your members, that defied your subpoenas without legal justification. and that treated civilian oversight as an enemy rather than as a partner. But I need to remind each and every one of you, I'm not that sheriff. I will never be that sheriff as long as I sit in my chair. I want this commission to look at me and make sure that they notice that I've attended the majority of the meetings. I have held monthly meetings with many of your members. I have responded to your requests for materials. I disbanded the Civil Rights and Public Corruption Unit, the unit my predecessor built as a weapon against people in this very room. I created the Office of Constitutional Policing, led by former U.S. Attorney Eileen Decker, staffed with attorneys, investigators, and auditors whose sole purpose is to improve this department. Through their efforts and work of others in the department, we have a new use of force policy, new tasers and taser policy, a new law enforcement gang policy, new media policies, a new risk management forum, CompStat-like system. And when I say that, it just goes, as we're talking about any risk and lawsuits, it's important to build a foundation based on risk management. A new complaints intake system, and we added transparency through a detailed web page with public transparency dashboards containing more data than has ever been made available by our department. We now have a formal ban on deputy gangs, making participation a fireable offense with mandatory reporting to post. Use of force incidents are down, as I've reported month after month. That include, for last year, our deputy-involved shootings being down as well. Jail deputies now wear body-worn cameras. We've hired 1,100 new deputies. We created a crime strategy unit that has contributed to violent crime reductions every year since I've been in office. Homicides are down, and just as importantly, our crime clearance rates are up. Settlement agreement progress, where we have worked with all of our federal monitors and are nearly compliant in the Antelope Valley Settlement Agreement. We have also gained more compliance in our custody settlement agreements than we ever have before. This department is changing, and this commission has been a big part of that and a good partner as we've changed. And we've talked a little bit about that with Commissioner Giggins and her past. Now on to this lawsuit. This commission filed a lawsuit this week seeking to compel my department to produce records pursuant to subpoena and to bypass what I believe is a legally required process before those records can be turned over. I will explain to you, not defensively, but directly, why I have not complied and why I believe that the path this commission is choosing today will actually make lasting reform harder, not easier. California Penal Code Section 832.7 protects peace officer personnel records. Those protections exist for important reasons that sometimes feel inconvenient when we are trying to expose misconduct, but reasons that California legislature enshrined in law to protect the due process rights of employees. Recent amendments to Section 832.7 and to Government Code Section 25303.7 have expanded access to those records for civilian oversight bodies like this one. I absolutely 100% acknowledge that. Our attorneys at County Council and the others have acknowledged that. This is not in dispute. But I think it's more of not a what, but how we're going to proceed with it. No one's arguing we're not going to do it. I'm not sitting here telling any of you we're not going to move forward with what the law says. We just need to make sure that the process is in place. So the dispute is over process. When a law enforcement agency shares confidential personnel records, even with a civilian oversight commission authorized by law to receive them, there are established legal obligations to notify and to meet and confer with labor organizations that represent the deputies whose records are at issue. How confidential personnel records are handled impacts every single employee. They are entitled legally to have a voice in this process. This is not a loophole. It is not obstruction. It is the law. And here is something I need this commission to also understand. That obligation does not only fall on me as the sheriff, it falls on each and every one of you as commissioners. This meet and confer requirement is not a one-way street. If this commission has the legal authority to receive these records, it also has a legal responsibility to engage in the process of resolving how those records will be handled, and should engage in that process long before demanding them. The law that empowers the commission also binds it. You cannot ask me to follow the law and then exempt yourselves from it in the same breath. The law applies to each and every one of us. I cannot build lasting, sustainable reform in our department by trampling on the legal rights of the people I'm asking to change, and neither can you. Let's be clear about something. If I allow you to bypass labor, ignore the meet and confer process, and expose this department to criminal liability, which is a punishment that I get it if this goes the wrong way, in order to satisfy a subpoena before the proper legal process is complete, I may win one news cycle. And that's what people, especially in this reelection campaign process, have said, oh, I'm going to do this. And like I say to everybody, you can do it once. But if we want lasting change, we have to put processes in place that stand up in court. And this is where I'm saying I can win support on one day or one news cycle, but I'm going to lose the war. We're going to lose the war, and we won't get that everlasting change that we're looking for. Deputies in the public will know we have bypassed the legal process. They will rightfully lose respect. Unions will litigate rightfully. Courts may reverse what we have done rightfully. Penalties, which the law provides for, including criminal penalties, will be imposed. We will also have unraveled years of work and the reform that we're all working towards. And the next sheriff who will inherit a department more resistant to change and oversight than the one that I walked into. I want reform that survives me. I want it in the culture, in the contracts, in the policies, and in the expectations of every man and woman who pins on a badge for the sheriff's department. The kind of reform that requires buy-in, and buy-in requires a process. When our attorneys advised caution before turning over these records, it was not to protect misconduct. I would never do that. It was to protect the county, to protect our employees, to protect the process, and frankly, to protect this commission from a legal challenge that could have unraveled your right to these very records. And let's be clear, the department has responded to the subpoena in all aspects in which it believed it legally could absent with the, that it believed it legally could within the meet and confer process. So here's what I'm asking the commission today. First, complete the meet and confer process with the relevant labor organizations so that record disclosure happens in a legally defensible way that cannot be successfully challenged or unwound. That process protects the integrity of whatever this commission finds and the actions it may seek to take. Secondly, hold me accountable for the results. I welcome that accountability. I have built the infrastructure for real structural change. I am asking you to let that infrastructure function within the law. As I have pointed out today, I hope you will acknowledge I have delivered results, but yet I acknowledge I still have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. But reform of this scale, reform of a department of 17,000 employees, multiple federal consent decrees, and a history of failed sustained leadership does not happen in a few short years. It is generational work. And it only succeeds if the people doing it have the tools, the trust, and the time to do it right. Please consider what this commission is actually fighting for. If the goal is records produced on a timetable that skips a required legal process, and a lawsuit that replaces collaboration, you may win that narrow battle. But if you damage the working relationship that are making lasting change possible, there's going to be consequences. We will hand the department detractors who have not gone away an enormous gift. Proof that the oversight process is not one of partnership, but one of attack. And we will make it harder, not easier, for any reform-minded leader of this department to bring the rank and file along the pathway to the change that we all seek. I want to be precise about what I mean by the last point because I believe it is the most important thing that I have said today. The people of Los Angeles County have experienced what it looks like when our department has a leader who refuses to cooperate with oversight, who investigates the investigators, who calls you lapdogs, who orders crash scene photographs to be destroyed, who reinstates deputies fired for abuse, who defies subpoenas not for legal grounds, but just out of contempt. You know what that looks like. You lived it for 4 years. That is not ancient history. The conditions that produce that kind of leadership will exist in this department and in this county, and they actually do exist. The culture that enabled did not disappear back in 2022 when election ballots were counted, and the people who championed that approach have not gone away. I'm not asking this commission for favors or we just want a fair shot. That's what I'm basically asking for. I'm asking for something much more important, clear eyes about what's at stake when a reform administration and a civilian oversight commission spend their energy fighting each other in court instead of transforming our department together. Every time this commission treats a sheriff who shows up as though he were the sheriff who refused to and makes it the case that every good deputy in this department that cooperated with oversight carries no benefit and is a waste of time. The department is changing for the better, and I am asking this commission to protect that change for the people of Los Angeles County. Because if this reform fails, and there are ones who will pay the price, they are the ones who will pay the price, and they have already paid enough. We need to do this together. We need to finish this together, but we do need to do it in the right way. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this topic.
All right, thank you, Sheriff. Are there any comments or responses from members of the commission or any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Cooper and Commissioner Giggins.
Sheriff, I want to thank you for your comments. The only concern I have is the length of time that the confer process takes. Delay after delay and years. Can you address the time of this process?
The meet and confer process that we follow is very frustrating. I'm not the most patient person, and I've sat here and testified to that, but it is the process, and it's set up by California law. If we were in Texas, if we were in Florida, we would not have to worry about this. But because we're in California, the law is different. And we are working with our board to see if there's any way moving into the future that we can try to shorten that the best that we can. I don't want to get too much into detail because then it gets used against me by the people we're sitting at the table with. And I got to be honest with you, for as much negativity that comes out about the labor folks we're dealing with, a lot of the accomplishments, whether it's a new use of force policy, a new gang policy, a lot of these things wouldn't have been done without them in a meet and confer process. So yes, it does take long. We have to follow it. If we can work collectively with our elected officials on the board in the future to figure out a way to shorten that, I would support that 100%. But with all the changes I'm talking about, and there have been significant changes, the meet and confer process has slowed down even more because change doesn't just happen overnight. So a lot of the change in policy came through significant policies. And I would argue with anybody that the most significant change that we've made is the use of force policy. That was a significant event for our department and, more importantly, our community. So we'll continue to work on all the meet and confers. There are dozens and dozens of them because I'm making a lot of changes. Some will argue maybe too many changes, but we want the department to change. I hear it every month in here. I hear it all over the community, and we're doing that. But we need to follow the legal process.
Commissioner Giggins, would you have a question?
I don't have a question. But I'm always questioning, but I don't have a question right now. You know, when I'm here, I talked about listening. You know, and what I'm hearing from the sheriff is really important for all of us to listen to. First of all, a lot has been done in this last term, the last 4 years, a lot of positive. And I believe that the Sheriff's Department has listened to the community and to the COC. We listen to the sheriff, but I think sometimes our ears go a little bit deaf because we want what we want. Community wants what it wants, and it needs to have the reform. I think what the sheriff has outlined today, at least for me, he is reminding us how fragile reform is. We forget that because we think we're winning, we get it, and then next thing you know, I mean, this is in other aspects of our public life, right? As a community, as a nation, and then we lose. That's what's going on right now in the whole country. We're going backwards on so many reforms that we made. So reform is fragile. I think we probably should hold that very close to us as as all of us move forward, but certainly as the commission moves forward and as the Sheriff's Department moves forward. And I think that what Sheriff Luna is asking, another thing to pay attention to and listen to about, ear to the ground, is do we want transactional wins or do we want transformational wins? Because transactions, you know, they change. You get this one and then it goes away. We're talking, this commission has been about, our charge has been about transformation. You know, so I personally would love to have the words of the sheriff today really documented and put out to the public. I would love a copy myself because I want to go back and read it and remember as I pay attention to, as this commission moves forward. But yeah, this is a cautionary, we're at a cautionary point right now because we've made a lot of progress and the Sheriff's Department has made a lot of progress. It is a department in transition, but I believe the goal is transformation. The community wants transformation. COC, we have to be careful that we don't get stuck in the transactional.
Thank you, Commissioner Giggins. Yes, Commissioner Garcia.
So thank you, Sheriff, thank you for your comments. It's been quite a week with this news cycle and in my role as a commissioner, and particularly someone as serving in a commission leadership role, I just want to state for the record that I was not aware that this filing was going to occur. And I share that because to me, when I read the newspaper and I see the way the articles are framed, it concerns me because it sends this message that, you know, we're supposed to act as a body. And, you know, being unaware that this was being filed to me was kind of a blindside. And when I look back at the April motion that I supported, embedded in that motion was that, you know, county council was going to review and provide a response. And so in this lengthy response from county council that I spent the time reading, there was legal arguments. Now, I'm not an attorney, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And as far as my understanding on being on this body, you know, we have to operate, or at least I have to operate under county governance structures. So, you know, I believe that this commission body, as we move forward, much to what Chair Giggins was sharing about transformation, I do believe that major actions that have legal, operational, or reputational implications for the commissioners should not come as a surprise to this commission, or at least. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. I just want to note for the record that this commission has acted since January, conferring to the chair the discretion for filing action for the enforcement of the subpoenas filed in February of 2025 by this commission, the 3 subpoenas at issue, described in the enforcement action and referenced by the sheriff in his remarks. I also want to note that this commission in the April motion made note of the conflicted nature of county council in this proceeding. Even in the sheriff's remarks today, he referred to county council as our attorneys. Well, you know, those same county council attorneys claim to represent this commission. And when there is a serious disagreement over the applicability of a meet and confer memorandum that this county council has entered into as a precondition for enforcement of the law and for compliance with county law or state law, that is a serious conflict of interest. And when that county council is relied on by this sheriff's department and called our attorneys, and that guidance is cited by the sheriff's department as the basis for defying subpoenas, while that same county council not only professes to be the sole representative of this commission, but to be a preclusive representative of this commission and to bar the voice of this commission from asserting its interests and from acting on its many past resolutions, and to enforce the subpoenas that need to have value simply beyond the paper they're written on. The power to issue subpoenas granted by the people of Los Angeles County in March of 2020 and then reasserted by the lawmakers of this state with the enforcement of AB 1185 since January 1st of 2021, 5.5 years ago. Those are laws that we are bound to enforce. And it is noteworthy that the meet and confer process about which Commissioner Cooper rightly raises a question that an organ of this county has stated should only proceed for 60 to a maximum of 90 days has now dragged out on Measure R, passed by more than 70% of voters in this county, for more than 3 years. And in the press, even this week, a representative of county council, the head of county council, makes reference to Measure R and the authority granted to this commission under Measure R not being enforceable 6 years after the enactment by the voters of Los Angeles and more than 3 years after the commencement of a meet and confer process over that authority granted by the people of Los Angeles County. That raises some very serious questions about whether the law is being trammeled or whether the rights granted by that law are being trampled or whether the law is being duly enforced. And I want to just highlight the dangerous existence of the conflict of interest raised by the sheriff's remarks and the sheriff's rebuttal or prebuttal, if you would, in today's remarks, and by the lengthy work of this commission to assert civilian oversight and to do its job as designated by the people of Los Angeles County and authorized by the people of California and the laws of California. So this is an issue we take to heart. We take to heart the good work and the sincerity and the integrity of the sheriff and of the department. But there are serious issues of disagreement and a serious conflict of interest here that it's intolerable to allow it to persist. And I think this commission's voice on record on this issue has been clear over many months, in fact, over many years. So we are partners in the work of reform, and we do not see it necessarily as an either-or situation. We can uphold the laws of California, and we can proceed with meaningful reform, and be good partners with this department in effectuation of its policies that safeguard honest public safety for Los Angeles County. With that, I want to ask, Robert, are there any public comments on the sheriff's report?
Yes, we have 5 people signed up for public comment. As a reminder, public comment must relate to the current agenda item 8, which is items contained in the LA County Sheriff's Update. If the public comment does not relate to the agenda item, I will remind the speaker that public comment must relate to the current agenda item. If the speaker continues to make public comment that doesn't relate to the agenda item, I will inform the speaker to please make public comment during non-agenda public comment. Our first speaker is Abdullah Puckett. If you could please take the mic.
Good morning. My name is Abdullah Puckett. I'm a PhD candidate researcher with $1 Million Hoods. I'm a co-author of this report. So my question is for Sheriff Luna, and comment and question is for Sheriff Luna. And it follows in many ways the statements of Commissioner Johnson. So what is a reasonable timeline, in your opinion, for seeing results from the changes in your department, from the changes that you made in your department or intend to make in your department to change the trajectory of the cost of harm, to change the trajectory when the cost of harm has actually increased from 2025 as in reference to 2023 to 2024. What is a reasonable timeline, in your opinion, to see a actual reduction in the cost of violence and the malpractice in the sheriff's department? Secondly, I would ask, what should the public expect to you as far as transparency if you're not even transparent with the Board of Commissioners? These statistics which we found in this report were very difficult to obtain. At what point are you going to be more forthcoming in responding to public records requests? At what point are you going to be more forthcoming with having public access to information? Since all of these things are important for us to be able to see any results from the work you claim to be doing.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Olivia Fitzsimmons. If you could please take the podium, and if Vanessa Perez can please take the cue.
Hello, good morning. I am Olivia Irene Fitzsimmons, and I am reporting an in-custody death of my son, as I was reported in April 2026 by a Los Angeles law enforcement officer that called my cell phone on Orange Drive and Fountain Ave restricted. The law enforcement stated that my infant was removed from the court-appointed caregiver, PA, a month after he was placed in August or September of 2025. As of May 28, 2026, a Department of Children and Family Services caseworker emailed myself a case plan that stated my son is placed with court-appointed caregiver, PA. I, his mother, am denied by the Superior Court of California a DNA test as of March 2026 and denied the appeal by June
Olivia,
2026.
this needs to relate to the sheriff's report. It
And
needs to be
death is by law enforcement, is relatable.
We have an item coming up on the report of the chair that this might be more germane to.
Okay, Jermaine Pearson, relevant?
It's not pertinent to the sheriff's report. I would just ask you if you can make it at another point, that it might be pertinent to the item on the agenda, please.
Okay, I have another point of a sheriff's report that was not reported on behalf of the sheriff department by the sheriff commission meeting. In the West Hollywood Sheriff Station in Los Angeles, California, had 3 individuals, one for certain that I reported on site, hostage underground in the building as of June of 2026. And I reported that to the watch commander. There was a fruit fly that insinuated there was a body underground nearby. And there was one reporting deputy, a brown male, that admitted to rape, as well as the watch commander. She is not living. The train transit as of June 15th, transported over 400 American hostages on the ground, children and adults, amongst the legal of 4 persons. Near the Union Station and near the Transportation Center at 100 West First Street.
I want to
All
caution
illegal
you,
transportation.
this does
Thank
not,
you, Olivia Irene Fitzsimmons. What number was that you said it, that the in custody death of my son?
Thank you.
was?
Our next speaker is Vanessa Perez, followed by
What number
Raquel
was that,
Durfler.
sir? Okay.
if the next speakers could be asked to line up, that would be appreciated.
I'm the mother of Joseph Perez. I respect what you said, Robert Luna, but I'm done and I'm tired of hearing that we're protecting law enforcement over and over again. When you look at my son's face, you look into his eyes, who was protecting him that night? I read 86 pages, which 20 of them were redacted, of the use of force, the incident report, and not one officer, deputy, sergeant, captain, unit commander protected my son that night. Not one person spoke up for my son that night. And then this week's LA Times came out and they quoted my son saying, "They almost killed me. They didn't really care if I was dead or not." And I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. So when you're up here asking for protection and protecting the officers, I want you to remember Joseph and look into his eyes and ask yourself, who protected him that night?
Thank you. Our next speaker is Raquel Durfler, and if Michelle Infante can please take the cue.
Good morning, Raquel Durfler with Cancel the Contract AV, and we are also part of Check the Sheriff Coalition. So I'd like to speak about the lawsuit that Vanessa mentioned. There was an article in yesterday's LA Times. So this is directly to the sheriff. The lawsuit is the final way to get the information that this commission is legally entitled to. The COC has been patient, has gone through the quote proper steps in an attempt to get information needed to investigate incidents of police violence against members of our community. Oftentimes, the commission is the only place these families can turn to for help when their loved one has been killed at the hands of law enforcement. So you were here talking about following the law and making sure the COC is following the law and that you're not above the law. That's really almost laughable, because that's not how the family feels they're treated by the sheriff's department when they are seeking information about the death of their loved ones. So the community is counting on you, commissioners, to do your job and provide true oversight over the sheriff's department. Getting these records are essential to this work, and I'm here to say that Cancel the Contract fully supports this commission's taking the sheriff's department to court to attain these very vital records. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Michelle Infante, followed by Patricia Mendoza. If you could please take the line.
So I was happy to see that Sheriff Luna was here today until I heard your statement. Then I was very disappointed because what I heard was a bunch of posturing and some fear mongering to the commission. And I think that was really a cheap shot that you did. You should have come up here with answers and not statements that dragged out, that sounded like it was going to take another 3 years before you were done.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Patricia Mendoza, followed by public comment online.
Good morning, everyone, commissioners and public. With all due respect, Chief Luna, I went to the Santa Ana City Council meeting, and the community was very upset because there was a guy that had mental illness, and they called it in. I think he was in the public by the community, and the 2 officers shot him and gave him 32 shots. I grew up in the streets. Doesn't mean I know everything, I've seen everything. But all these officers that work in your department, they know what they're doing. They're very smart, and it's a pattern. Since they're little, they've done bad things, they become officers, but it's a little gang between them. And I understand the weight you're carrying because you are responsible for these officers. When there's rotten apples, you need to get rid of them. And with all due respect, I've been a victim of the Rampart Police Department for 20 years. I've seen it all. Now, it took me 20 years to understand why do they behave like that, why they do what they do, and why do they threaten me. They have really, really bad issues. They need to be removed, these people. And you know why they do and they get away with all this crime? Because they have no respect for you and others are above them. And when they're by themselves and they're cruising around in their vehicles, they're laughing. It's a joke. And no one has cleaned up these officers, especially at the county, at the jail here in downtown. They do evil stuff, and they're malice and evil. And they've already, you see, I believe in reincarnation. We don't know who they were in the past. So the parents of these officers, they never supervised them when they were little. They grow up, they graduate from high school, they go to college, they become officers, but then they become someone else. And they're very malice and
thank you.
evil. Thank you.
Our first online public comment is from Deanna Brock. Deanna, you've been unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm really, really upset about Sheriff Luna's report. This information that the council has been trying to get, the 3 subpoenas of my son, Emmett Brock, Andres Guardado, and Joseph Perez. The reason the commission is trying to subpoena this information is because our cases of excessive force were totally redacted. If that redacted information was made available, they wouldn't be even needing to subpoena this information. Measure R went through, AB 8047 became law. When Luna is saying that we need to follow the meet and confer process, that goes on for years. I think at one of the last meetings, we heard that there were 44 items currently in the meet and confer process. We filed an excessive use of force complaint, and they investigate themselves and determined there was no excessive force in my son's case, and determined even that his injuries were a direct result of his own actions. We know now that the FBI investigated this case, and there were 1 captain, 1 commander, 3 sergeants, and 3 deputies, all involved in a cover-up. The deputy that beat my son, Joseph Benza, has been had pled guilty and has been sentenced by the FBI. We need to have these subpoenas for the council needs access. How is it that there was no use of excessive force determined by the department that investigates itself when the FBI comes in and goes through this whole cover-up? This commission cannot be effective without subpoena power, and the public has agreed with that. It is law now. No one is trying to trample on these people's rights. And what about the rights of the ones that have been relieved of duty?
Thank you. Our next online public comment is from Carlos Montes. Carlos, you've been unmuted.
So I'm a member of Central CSO and also part of the Check the Sheriff Coalition. I want to commend the Civilian Oversight Commission for moving forward and filing the lawsuit. I think it's long overdue. The Civilian Oversight Commission has the power and the law on its side to file subpoenas. And the LA County Sheriff has a history of ignoring the subpoenas, using the meet and confer process and employee confidentiality. I think it's high time that the sheriff abide by the subpoenas and not use the meet and confer process. It's taken years, the meet and confer process. I think there should be at least a timeline, 60, 90-day process. So again, Sheriff Luna, abide by the subpoenas. My understanding is that you can submit all the documents and subpoenas to the Civilian Oversight Commission, and then they will review it in a private session, not in a public session. So that protects the confidentiality of the employees. So again, thank you very much, Civilian Oversight Commission. Keep up the great work. We support civilian oversight of the sheriff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next online public comment is from Film the Police.
The 832.7 PC, and I actually want to read it into the record. So 832.7a PC, there's a couple different portions. It says the personal records of peace officers will remain confidential and shall not be disclosed except under investigations by one of those mentioned is, in fact, the COC, Civilian Oversight Boards or Commissions. And so I've actually run into this repeatedly. Various CPRAs that I've submitted to the agency will continuously be using 832.7 as an exemption, even when I'm not actually seeking individual personal records. And it doesn't just apply blatantly and universally to all personal records. Now, I want to say this too. I get it. There are very good cops that you definitely want to protect. I can understand that. But the problem is not the good cops. The problem is that there's an overwhelming majority who are in force that are bad cops that do need to be outed, that do need to be exposed and need to be held liable and need to be brought to justice under the law. We cannot say that we are a county and nation of laws when you have the same officers who are given power by we the people to help protect us, who are simultaneously those same ones that are violating us. So 832.7 is not some blanket exemption, should not be used as it is, and is frankly continuously being repeatedly abused as if we can't read. I mean, this stuff is freely online. 832.7, we can all read it. It is not a blanket universal exemption to just withhold all records, and simply just citing an exemption is usually a tactic to scare off people who frankly are already traumatized and won't bother a lot of times because of that hurt to actually read what it says on the books. The laws are quite strong. 832.7 is not a universal blanket exemption. We are not after the good cops, and there are a lot of plenty bad cops that do need to be exposed, just like the CPRI submitted to get the personal roster of the entire LASD. And I've gone through that meet and confer process, and it is absurdly lengthy.
Thank you. Our final online public comment is from Cindy Nunez. Cindy, you've been unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good morning, Commission. Sheriff Luna, your report is truly upsetting once again. I have submitted personally PRAs requesting information. I have yet to receive any of those records, one or two, and it's almost been 3 years. I want to know who these deputies are that are coming after me personally. It's going to be nearly 3 years, Sheriff. Again, where's the transparency for families? How can families trust a system and a sheriff that speaks about transparency, integrity, all while withholding information for years from families and this commission? Your deputy gang members do feel they are above the law. This conversation is so much bigger than policy updates, your reports, or hearing about the department's accomplishments and how you're protecting bad cops. We are talking about lives that are lost. We are talking about holding reports and information and about families whose loved ones never made it home. When there's a lack of accountability and transparency, public trust is going to continue to be destroyed. And if meaningful action is not taken, more families will be forced to stand right there where you guys are today, demanding answers after losing someone they love. Finally, I continue to be very concerned that County Council advises both the Sheriff's Department and this commission. That creates the appearance of indeed conflict of interest. If the courts can appoint independent counsel to ensure fairness and no conflict of interest, why can't this commission have the same independent counsel as they do, as they offer? Thank you, commissioners, for moving forward with this lawsuit. You have our support.
Thank you. That concludes our online public comment.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for navigating both people present and people joining us remotely.
Hans,
Yes. Commissioner Giggins.
is it okay if I make a comment?
I believe we are wrapping up the item. We are pressed for time, but please,
Yeah,
yes.
just
proceed.
quick. Yeah, I just want to, bring up the issue of the time that everybody's bringing up. Meet and confer exists. It's part of the negotiations that the county does with a right that the unions have to meet and confer, and it's part of HR, it's part of personnel, all of that. The fact that it goes on for so long and has become weaponized seems to be an issue for the county to deal with. I don't know, I don't know how we're gonna make inroads on meet and confer, but it seems to me that it's a bigger issue and that the Board of Supervisors should be looking at, because it has become weaponized in a way. And so meet and confer is not gonna go away, but I wanna remind everybody that one of the reasons we wanna be able to see these records and keep the information confidential is because we need to trust and verify. So we have meet and confer, but we don't have trust and verify. And so that's a bridge, I think, that has to be crossed over. And I just want to bring up that I don't support, and none of us support, the length of time that it has taken for us to move ahead with the new laws that have been instituted. And the fact that it's meet and confer that is in the way, and I think it's a bigger issue that the Board of Supervisors should take a look at.
Thank you, Commissioner Giggins. We'll talk more about that later on the agenda. I do just want to recognize the next item on the agenda. We're going to skip a bit because of time constraints. We want to make sure that we can hear directly from the Interim Inspector General of Los Angeles County. We are glad to have with us again today Eric Bates, representing the Office of Inspector General, and we are very pleased to receive the Inspector General's report. Mr. Bates, welcome back, and the floor is yours for an update about your most recent quarterly report.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank Commissioner Giggins personally and on behalf of the Inspector General's office for your service, your commitment to oversight. It's very important to the community, as you heard with the public comments, and it was very important to our office. So we wish you well in your future endeavors, whatever they may be. Thank you very much. And for the sake of time, I will not go through everything in our quarterly report, which is the latest report that we've had since last being here. But there are a couple of areas that I will talk about. One, because it highlights an area that we've had concern, which is body-worn cameras. There was a fatal shooting that's in our report that occurred earlier this year in January in Palmdale, and it involved the Narcotics Bureau personnel serving a search warrant. And the deputies apparently were informed that the person, who was later determined to be a 25-year-old male, was sitting alone in a vehicle next to the search location. Deputies reported that out of a concern for officer safety and a possible connection to the warrant location, the deputies approached and surrounded the car. The deputies positioned themselves around the car, including one at the driver's rear side door. The driver moved, attempting to move forward, ran over the foot of the deputy, and the driver continued to attempt to maneuver away from the deputies, and one deputy fired a single round that killed the 25-year-old man at the scene. So obviously that raises incredible concerns, and the areas that we were concerned about and we would like further inquiry of include, did the deputies have reasonable suspicion of criminal activity to justify ordering the driver to stop? Were the deputies directly in the vehicle's path when it moved forward? Did the shooting violate the department policy prohibiting firing at a stationary or moving vehicle? Were the approach and positioning of the deputies tactically sound and aligned with best practices and policy? And the lack of body-worn cameras. And it's been a continuing recommendation of the Inspector General's office that all units have body-worn cameras. And there are a number of specialized units that apparently do not have body-worn cameras. And I know Sheriff Luna has tried to initiate all units having body-worn cameras, but apparently is dealing with, as we've heard today, a meet and confer issue. Our position is, if there's a policy for all staff to wear body-worn cameras, that should include specialized units. So that is an issue that we will continue to follow and report to you. And just a couple of other areas, and again, all this is in our quarterly report, and I implore the public to read our quarterly report that's online on our website. The Homicide Bureau currently has 6 open shooting cases involving sheriff deputy personnel under investigation for this present quarter. And during this quarter, the sheriff's department submitted 4 deputy-involved shooting cases to the district attorney's office for filing, and those individual cases are listed in our quarterly report. And one last area I'll discuss, and that's in custody deaths. As you know, in December, the Board of Supervisors directed, December 2023, the Board of Supervisors directed the Sheriff's Department to collect and track narcotics recovery data in jail facilities to evaluate drug detection efforts. Also to enhance and expand search procedures for staff and civilians entering facilities beyond visual inspections, and also to provide this information to the Office of Inspector General. We then must report quarterly on implementation progress, recommendations, and data on confirmed or suspected overdose deaths. For this period between January 1 and March 31st, 11 people died in custody. The medical examiner reports show none of these deaths have been confirmed as accidental overdoses. Toxicology remains pending for 1 case, which may later indicate an overdose. And for the 2025 calendar year, the medical examiner confirmed 9 accidental overdose deaths amongst individuals in custody. And for this quarter, there have been no overdose deaths confirmed. And the last thing I will say is relating to the body-worn cameras, and I'll end on a positive note. We were informed by the Sheriff's Department of a new body-worn camera aspect that allows translation. And it was great to hear that, because obviously there's the possibility of there being a language barrier between the deputies and the community in investigating a situation, responding to a situation. And it was rolled out for the World Cup. And so I saw the video for it, and it looks very promising, where it's literally the deputy hitting the body-worn camera, the person speaks, the camera translates into English, and the deputy then speaks back in English, and it translates into the language. It apparently, as I said, was used this past week for the first time. So I'm going to meet with them and find the results of that, because I think that's very promising. Obviously, in the community, we are looking at the possibility of it being promising in custody and dealing with pre-allegations where there's a initial language barrier. So there may be a use for it, not only in the field, but also in the facility. So we will follow up on that, and at some point, maybe provide a report to the commission. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions. And thank you, Chair Johnson, for moving me up so I can make another appointment.
Well, thank me after my questions. The 3 questions I just want to ask are, 1, are you seeing consistent use of body-worn cameras, or are you seeing any instances where body-worn cameras are turned off or are not revealing key sections of interactions that may provide that may raise instance of violence, or where there is other use of force involving people either in custody or other settings? Because just because they're body-worn cameras doesn't mean they're on, and doesn't mean they're revealing key sections of greatest concern involving use of force.
That is a very, very important question, and I want to give it the credit that it needs and the response that it needs. I believe there is an initial, we're seeing a more usage of the body-worn camera, but I will verify that and see if there are any gaps, and where those gaps are, and let the commission know. But it's my understanding that they are being used more. But then again, it's more isn't always what's needed. Maybe I have to see the level that they're reaching. So I will get back to you with the actual facts on that.
One other question involves the conditions in confinement and the deaths in custody from overdoses. It's been a recurring question of this commission, and one that we have put to the sheriff. But I'm curious, given your research experience and the valuable team that you command for such analysis, have you been able to identify sources of drugs in our jails leading to the overdose deaths or the inroads that drugs are making in the jails? Where are they coming from? Who might be bringing them in, and what might be contributing to these the crisis of overdose deaths in our jails, which I will just note, we're on course to set another record this year with jail deaths. I think the graphic in this month's report makes that plain, that we are on track for another record. I'm curious if you might have any leads or if there's any reporting that you are doing or planning that deals with the sources of narcotics in our jails.
There are not any reports that are ongoing dealing with that. I have my own personal beliefs. I think generally we know that inmates aren't going out in and out of the facilities to get their own drugs and bring them in. So obviously they're being brought in by either staff or by, during visitation. So it's not rocket science to me as to how it's getting in. But as far as the efforts that the department is making to stop that from happening, I will have to look and get some information for you on that, because I know they are making efforts. But again, I want to accurately report to you what those efforts are and let you decide whether or not they're appropriate. So I will follow up with you on that.
Well, the final question relates to the categorization of jail deaths. And I was wondering if you or colleagues such as Dara Williams, whom we are used to hearing from here at the commission, we hope that there's progress on taking that interim title perhaps off of your title here in coming weeks or months. But what have you noticed about the categorization of deaths? And do you find the accident deaths or any other categorizations misleading or in any way not fully accurate or not identifying particular vectors or causes for in-custody deaths? Anything that can be done about that? This commission, of course, is all ears as it relates to what pushing you might be willing to make about those categorizations.
Well, again, I will have to find out more based on what we've been able to see. Keep in mind that obviously we had stopped rolling out to in-custody deaths and deputy-involved shootings because of just the lack of personnel. We have certainly now reinstituted that since I started as the interim, because I thought that obviously is important to find out more about if in true oversight. So we are going to in-custody deaths and deputy-involved shootings, but now if they occur during business hours, and then if they occur after business hours, then I get the call and we make a decision as to what we will do depending on the circumstances. So I can't tell you right now exactly the information you're asking for because I don't want it to be inaccurate, but I can actually look into that and see what we can do as more oversight for that, because it is important.
And besides the very helpful and very regular filing of your quarterly reports, is there any forthcoming investigation or report that you are involved in that you would like to flag for this commission that we should pay attention to or look out for?
Not at this time.
Okay.
No.
Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you for your update. I have not had a chance to read the report, but I just wanted to share last Friday, I believe it was, I attended with OIG staff and COC staff the naloxone inspection, and we did go to, I think it was approximately, if I recall, 6 modules and over to Twin Towers. And in the observations with the naloxone, we did find some areas where there was missing or absent, and for, I can't recall the reasons, like it's especially over in Twin Towers. But what I wanted to touch on, because we had the jail desk form, and in that form, we had correctional health services. And we, from an OIG perspective, in that tour, we saw some modules that had missing inmate grievance forms, but the majority did have the grievance form. But was also notable to me, at least, was missing the HSRs, the health services request for correctional help. I don't know if in your inspections you track that, because for me, like understanding the whole workflow, the flow process from IRC, and when they get screened by correctional health services, and if somebody's coming down or presenting to the health professional, and then they go back to custody and they get classified into a regular dorm or a module, there's potential health implications there. And there seems to be this gap that we have in oversight here, where, we don't know what is the statistics of people coming in with an SUD or a co-occurring disorder. And, they get, classified, and then they get moved to a dorm or a module, or, over to Twin Towers. But there's this, in the report, I'm not seeing, like who restacks those HSRs? Does it have to, does an inmate have to file a grievance, and then it gets routed over from the sheriff to health services, and then health services responds to it, just to get an envelope, who stacks it? And so I think that's something that this commission has to look at, or, be aware of when we're discussing this whole jail death, process.
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners or questions?
I had a comment about the good part of your report about these body cameras that can speak different languages. And you mentioned that they were brought out because of the World Cup, or did I misunderstand you?
I don't know if they were brought out because of the World Cup, or that's just the first implementation of its use. I don't, you'd have to ask the sheriff's department as to why they have them. I hope it was because just the need to better interact with the community when they go out on their calls. I was just told that it was just being used for the first time in a big scale like that for the World Cup. Yes.
Okay, because I have a concern about that, because, I feel like the money should be spent on the community, but you can find money for other things. And we should have the priority being our communities, knowing that our county have many, many, many different languages other than English. So I had a concern about that.
Commissioner Cooper, if I may. So this is a trial. It's a feature that the body-worn camera has, and this was a good opportunity to see its efficiency. It's in a trial basis right now. And to the sheriff's point, the goal is to disseminate body-worn cameras to everyone. And so the phase that we are in today is custody, and so we're just over 60%. As soon as custody is completed, then they're going to move over to the next platform, because you have to build the infrastructure, the dockings, the downloading capabilities, issuing them out, and then going to the respective training. So as he indicated, it's a department of 17,000, of which only 10,000 approximately are sworn, but we're also equipping our custody assistants. So it's a lengthy process, but his goal and his direction has been to equip every single officer who's responding or having any type of contact to be equipped with a body-worn camera.
Okay, so is this a new technology, or was this feature, there when you first bought the cameras?
It's a new feature. They continue to evolve technology. And so this is like no other solution provider out there. They're going to create new innovation and offer it to their existing clients, to whether or not it warrants augmenting any existing contract.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you both. It's very valuable to have this kind of discussion in real time here at the commission. We thank you both for being here, and I want to thank the interim Inspector General in particular for coming each time we have a quarterly report with items that need to be flagged. With that, do we have any public comment on that item specifically before we shift back to our own commission reports?
Yes, we have one public comment on 10A from Raquel Derfler. If you can please take the podium.
Good morning. I just wanted to say thank you for the OIG for looking into that incident in Palmdale. We had heard about it, couldn't get a lot of details, but it just goes to show the profiling that we hear and see in community around people of color. Our understanding is the gentleman was not related to the reason why the sheriff's department was called out to that location. I would also like to tie this back to how the sheriff's department likes to basically boast that they're almost in compliance with the items that were laid forth in the settlement agreement between the DOJ and the AV stations. We have to remember that the deputies know when the monitors are coming out for a visit, so they're going to be on their best behavior. People can argue the data and the reports is showing progress. Also understand that there are many people that have issues with the police that do not come forward and give a complaint, and you don't have data on that. So many times folks in community come to cancel the contract for help. We're able to help them, but they do not want to go further in even filing a complaint around what's happened to them. And so I would like the commission to please keep an eye on what is going on in the AV and not to just listen to the rhetoric from the police department that they are almost in compliance. And when it comes to body-worn cameras, they need to be on all the time. Not that we should be seeing more use. My understanding is they're supposed to be on all the time. So I would push for the OIG to really reiterate that to the police department. They should always be on, not most of the time. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one online public comment from Film the Police. You've been unmuted.
I just wanted to make the OIG aware of a practice actually very widespread and common in the state of Utah that I think would be a good role model for the state of California and especially here in LA County. One of that is the use of various layers of administrative reviews for PRAs in particular and other civilian complaints. So the way it works in the state of Utah, you can of course petition the particular law enforcement agency for a PRA. However, there's at least two other layers if the agency itself does not adhere to state law and other laws for the PRA. And one of those is an agency they have called the Government Records Office, which serves as a mediator but actually has strong subpoena power to mandate the release of those records administratively so that it saves people, regular lay people, the litigation costs, especially the county as well. I know part of the attachments today that I think we'll get to is actually the cost of litigation for the LASD. But the other, in addition to this office, they have actually a dedicated OIG that can also overturn and review appeals, again, without having to take it into litigation because it saves time, it's far more effective, and it expedites the process, as we talked about before, with meet and confers taking years. Other litigation matters taking years that frankly could and should be resolved very briefly in administrative terms. And so I think that's a very helpful, very successful model that I think would be very wise for the OIG to undertake a research and investigation into, and then possibly for an agenda item in the future for this commission to look deeper into and investigate. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment.
All right, thank you, Robert. We will shift back to commission reports now to item 9A. It is my duty and happy obligation to provide a report on some recent activities involving the commission. As noted earlier, we had a very successful forum last week called Icy Conditions, Know Your Rights, Navigate the Law. I want to thank all the commission staff for involvement in that very successful community forum with 4 speakers, including a representative from the Sheriff's Department. A centerpiece of that presentation was a PowerPoint by the district director of Representative Judy Chu, someone whom all of us are aware of for her agenda-setting public service, but also for her dogged visits to detention sites around Southern California, especially against the backdrop of the heightened enforcement of the last year. I think it was eye-opening to many participants about the value of signing an advance privacy statement, signing but not dating, in the instance that someone in your household or someone you love might be ambushed and taken into custody and detained. That lack of a privacy agreement can be used as an excuse for not providing communication or even providing details about the person's whereabouts, status, medical conditions, or other needs. And it was very noteworthy in that presentation, the detail gleaned from visits to detention facilities, some of which are operated by private corporations and not by governments, including in Adelanto. And it was a direct result from Representative Judy Chu's work with her staff that detail of report, I think, was provided in such a forum and in such a valuable way, which still exists online on the YouTube channel of the COC. And the value of that report is one that we will not relinquish. We are intending to do another forum on this same subject in future months. But again, having the COC being able to shine a light on these issues and helping to ensure that people can film interactions with masked, armed ICE agents, that even when unconstitutional, warrantless actions are taken against Angelenos, we are still entitled to our constitutional rights under the First Amendment and others to film interactions with law enforcement so long as it does not interfere with the conduct of that law enforcement. And we have a right to identify and ascertain where loved ones and neighbors are being held. And there are some excellent best practices highlighted in that presentation from June 10th. I want to thank the Executive Director, Robert Flores, Nune Petrosian, and all the staff of the COC for making that high value content and forum possible. I also, as noted, want to flag the update on the County Council's litigation cost report from fiscal year 24-25. That is attached to the agenda as a reference, along with a valuable report from Million Dollar Hoods, whom I'm glad to see represented with us here today. Million Dollar Hoods, the title, just for clarification, relates to the extraction of money from neighborhoods throughout Los Angeles for the purposes of incarceration. It's hoods in the sense of neighborhoods. It's $1 million in the sense of this is money that's going for incarceration, not for community investment, social services, or the empowerment or investment in communities. Has anyone here taken a look at the very dry summary of litigation costs provided in this year's report? It's worth noting that this report is done and provided as a resource to all Angelenos. It showed about $230 million in settlement and lawyering costs for Los Angeles County. Interestingly, a majority of those costs are being shelled out by Los Angeles taxpayers to cover the Sheriff's Department, just one of many agencies in the county. It accounts for what? About 8% of the overall budget, but it accounts for more than half of the litigation costs and settlements that we're paying for as Angelenos. And it's also worth noting that more than half of those costs are for settlements. So a majority of the costs for LA County residents are for the Sheriff's Department, and a majority of those costs for the Sheriff's Department are for settlements. I also want to caution that is not about employment costs. Employment-related settlements and litigation is a separate line item in that very hefty budget for lawyering costs and settlements. So I just want to note that for the record, and that report is attached to this agenda as a reference point. Because when we talk about costs, we often don't talk about the costs hidden for Angelenos in litigation and in settlement. I also want to note that in the $1 Million Hoods report, a very useful resource. Again, we can get caught up in the dry numbers, we can get caught up in the bar charts or the pie charts, but $1 Million Hoods did a real service for all Los Angeles residents and really for the Board of Supervisors and all who look at policymaking for the county, because they broke it down by resident and by homeowner. According to the $1 Million Hoods report, every LA County resident is paying $3.32 per year to cover the costs of carceral violence here in Los Angeles County. And every property owner in Los Angeles County is paying more than $19 per year to cover that cost of carceral violence, of violence in our jail system. So those are important reference points, not just for our stakeholders, but for the work of this commission itself. And I want to make sure that those are highlighted. Finally, I want to note, in addition to the enforcement action that was filed this week, I think there's been plenty of discussion about this. One point that I think does need to be flagged, just in a basic report about that enforcement action of the 3 subpoenas from 2025, which this commission reasserted its effort to gain compliance with in January of this year, following the enactment of a second state law, AB 847, that follows on the heels of AB 1185 in place for 5.5 years. This new AB 847 also protects the confidentiality of records provided under AB 1185, so that a commission like ours designated for those records that they shall be pursued by the chair of an oversight commission and that they shall be provided upon subpoena for an investigation necessary for our doing our job. That law was the basis for reasserting efforts to gain compliance with those subpoenas. But just to respond to Commissioner Giggins' astute question about meet and confer, it is worth noting yet again, as we did at the April and May meetings of this body, that a Court of Appeal ruling in California on March 26th held that what Los Angeles County Council is doing is unlawful by citing meet and confer as a precondition for compliance with state law. The Court of Appeal held that no county can divest an agency like ours, which has been empowered by state law with subpoena authority. It cannot divest this county agency by citing meet and confer, labor code, any MOU, or otherwise. And I just want to note that that was not merely a holding of law. That was a Court of Appeal that was unanimous, written by one of the most respected senior judges in the state of California, Mark Simons. But still, even in the presence of that important precedent about meet and confer being used as a dilatory tactic by a county council, in litigation where both parties in that case had access to outside counsel granted by the County of Sonoma, both the Sheriff's Office and the Civilian Oversight Commission had outside counsel granted by the County of Sonoma. That ruling held meet and confer cannot be used as a precondition for compliance with state law. With that, I do also want to note, this is Pride Month. Happy Pride to one and all. June and the celebration of Pride here, where Pride began in Los Angeles 2 years before it happened at Stonewall. 2 years before Stonewall was the opposition to police abuse of the LGBTQ community in Sunset Junction, here on the greater east side of Los Angeles, not far from where we meet here today. And I want to thank the department for its presence at the Pride ceremony and flag raising at County Hall. I want to thank representatives of the department for joining in a truly joyous moment. It was also, I think, very heartening to hear the camaraderie and the solidarity expressed with our openly LGBTQ officials in the county and with our LGBTQ commission of the county, relatively newfangled over the last 3 years. And their presence, along with Chair Solis in holding that flag-raising ceremony, was a really bright day, both metaphorically and symbolically, for Los Angeles County. In times where our LGBTQ community remains under siege, subject to dehumanizing rhetoric, and even subject to the misuse of religion as a means of trying to stigmatize or dehumanize us on a regular basis. So I want to thank all the representatives who were there, particularly those from our partners in the Sheriff's Department, and to thank Supervisor Hahn for the county's Pride resolution passed unanimously before the Board of Supervisors. Finally, on a grim note, we do have to note the in-custody deaths data. I want to thank Christina Villacorte and the staff, along with Charmaine Mosley, for updating that chart, noting, regrettably, that this county is on track for another record in-custody deaths this year. This commission will continue to update that chart to put in readily digestible numerical form the crisis of in-custody death that we continue to monitor and try to take action to counteract here in Los Angeles County. With that, I recognize our executive director for her report here this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I have a few items to report out on, and I'm going to start with our commissioner and staff trainings. Since our last meeting, staff joined Vice Chair Garcia for a 2 full-day LASD training on First Amendment rights. We also joined commissioners on the jail facility inspections at MCJ and NCCF. Commissioners were provided with the orientation video that they must watch in order to conduct inspections of these facilities. Commissioners should have received a notice that a county mandatory cybersecurity training also must be completed in 15 days. The next item is community engagement activities. Since our last meeting, our community engagement efforts have increased. Please see the handout that's on the table outside this room and also in our commissioner folders. We attended LASD's AAPI History Month celebration, LASD's Academy graduations, SBC meetings, the county's leadership conference, collaboration meetings also with POC, Probation Oversight Commission, and the Office of the Inspector General, and meetings with community groups. We hosted the Automated License Plate Reader Forum, In Custody Death in-person forum, as well as Chair Johnson mentioned, the Icy Conditions Public Forum. The next item is update on internal operations and upcoming commission vacancies and other items. Now, as I last reported, the county has a hard stop on spending and hiring due to the budget constraints. Like other county departments, our budget has also been impacted by these budget issues. While we are wrapping up this fiscal year, we have a negative balance. I submitted a request for a legal services line item for consideration in the supplemental budget. I know in my previous updates, I guess often, I have mentioned this, that we've never received a budget line item for legal services, and we get billed for those charges constantly. So any legal services that the county provides in any form impacts our budget, and that includes for pro bono counsel. So I just wanted to mention that. And it contributed to our balance being in the negative for this fiscal year. Next, this year's NACO conference is scheduled to take place from November 8th through the 12th in Louisville, Kentucky. We were given the approval for 3 commissioners to attend the conference. Preference, and this is for commissioners to decide, preference should be given first to commissioners who submit proposals for the NACO sessions, and we should find out about where the board is at with those proposals sometime next week. And then also, if the proposals are approved, we also have two newer commissioners. We have Commissioner McBride and also Commissioner Newhouse, who has never attended the NACOL conference. So maybe this year, giving them an opportunity to attend the conference as a training opportunity and oversight, and just to see how NACOL goes. We also invited LASD to send one person, but we were informed that they couldn't do that this year due to the budget crisis. So no one will be attending from LASD. And while we would like all of our commissioners to attend the conference, we know that it's limited, especially this year. After discussion with the governance ad hoc committee members, and so that we follow the ordinance for this commission, we are revising the draft annual report that I kept reporting out on, Chair Johnson, last few months. And that's we're gonna include the first 6 months of this year instead of doing it for the full calendar year of 2025. And the report must be filed with the Board of Supervisors, so it's important that we revise this report as soon as possible. So our communications manager, Christina, will be following up. Thank you, Christina. And I'm also pleased to report that the commission will be moving from the Hall of Administration building into the OIG's office suite. Since my last report, we successfully relocated to the basement of the Hall of Administration building from the World Trade Center. And now we are preparing for this next move to further strengthen oversight within the county and be able to work more collaboratively. So I keep thanking Interim Inspector General Eric Bates and also Chief Deputy Darrell Williams for their collaborative spirit and willingness to share resources, which is important, especially now. This transition will enhance information sharing and improve our commission operations. I will continue working closely with the Interim Inspector General and POC's Executive Director, Wendy Julian, to identify opportunities to improve our overall oversight structure. I don't think I might have mentioned that also POC, they will be moving their office space into OIG's space as well. And then also, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Jocelyn. It's great to have Jocelyn. Jocelyn, please stand up. She's over in the back. Jocelyn, please stand up so we can see. So, Jocelyn, I don't know his name. Sorry. So she's going to be interning with us for the summer, and she's a senior at CSW Dominguez Hills, and she's majoring in criminal justice and having a strong interest in law enforcement. She'll bring valuable energy and perspective to our team. So thank you, Jocelyn, for wanting to join us. And lastly, while it saddens me still that Commissioner Giggins' last meeting is today, I'm pleased to report that Commissioner Harris was reappointed to serve on this commission until 2029.
Congratulations.
So congratulations, Commissioner Harris, on your reappointment. And then also, again, thank you, Commissioner Giggins, on your service to the county and people of Los Angeles. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charmaine. With that, we will be in recess for 10 minutes. We will reconvene by 11:25. Thank you very much.
We're gonna do that now? We're gonna get cake?
Let's reconvene, commissioners. We have a lengthy agenda still to conclude. Commissioners, please reconvene. Congratulations. Congratulations. Get you to kick around. Okay, we need, we have a quorum, so let's proceed. We're now moving forward with the agenda for the COC. We have reports from our ad hoc committees, but I believe I may skip that so that we can proceed and come back to it after the educational presentation. If we are ready to proceed with the educational presentation from the department, we have with us today an opportunity to discuss with Commander Roel Garcia from the Custody Services Division the rights for voting by incarcerated people here in Los Angeles County. This is item 11A on our agenda, an educational presentation that we are very glad to have in conjunction with the department and with the League of Women Voters of Los Angeles. We're going to hear the presentations first, and then we'll have comments or questions from the floor and from commissioners. I want to give a particular welcome to Commander Garcia for his perseverance in the department and for his taking on some valuable and what might be considered difficult and even demanding areas of oversight. Those involve PREA compliance as well as voting rights for incarcerated people. Roel Garcia, Commander Garcia, has taken on. So I want to give a particular welcome to this commander and welcome his presentation about voting rights here in Los Angeles County jails. Commander?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. Thank you to the COC commissioners as well and staff for having me here today. We have a PowerPoint that we'll go through, but I'll actually do some talking in addition to that. So this is voting rights of incarcerated individuals. And what we have up on the screen, unlock the vote, who can vote, I can vote, we all count, free the vote, and every vote counts have been just some of the names that we've utilized through various campaigns for voter registration in the Los Angeles County Jail. Next slide, please. Voting registration drive makes inroad in unexpected territory. And that was actually a title of an LA Times article that came out when we did a voter registration drive years back. Next slide, please. What is the role of Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in the voting process for eligible incarcerated individuals? Next slide, please. So what we do at LASD is we take that role very seriously. We start with the briefing of all of our staff that are deputy register trained by the Register Recorder's Office. And we work with the Register Recorder in determining when our start date is to start our voter registration drive. And LASD acts as the vital logistical and operational and security engine that transforms the abstract right to vote into actual ballot access for eligible individuals in custody. While election policy is set by the county via Register Recorder's Office, LASD manages the direct physical execution of the voting program inside the jail walls through several core responsibilities, providing access to nonpartisan partners such as the League of Women Voters and the Register Recorder's Office that come in and help us, internal outreach and dedicated staffing. And like I mentioned earlier, all of our staff that work on our voter registration process has been trained by the Register Recorder and our deputy register are sworn in as deputy register employees. So then we deal with the supply distribution and request intake. And that is a very, very tough job to do. There's a lot of things that go on with that, such as in our voter registration drive timeframe, we put in materials into our lunch bags that are distributed daily to the men and women in our care and custody, so they get that information. And some of those materials include the Easy Voter Guide, as an example. And we have Easy Voter Guides distributed throughout our jail facilities. And then we work with the Register Recorder's Office in setting up actual in-person flex voting centers in our facilities. And then secure ballot chain of custody. So that's a very important feature. Next slide, please. So what you have in front of you is LASD's policies and procedures and practices to voter registration and voting access within our county jail facilities. And that's our custody division manual that governs the rights and access inside our jail facilities. Next slide, please. So these directives establish a standardized framework to ensure eligible incarcerated individuals can register to vote and cast their ballots securely. And again, it starts with awareness and outreach. We work with our partners inside our facilities, such as our educators that have classrooms and their civics classes that take place, and then our volunteers that come in and work with our population. There's a lot of awareness and outreach. Our town hall meetings is another avenue in which we put a lot of information out. We have designated personnel roles such as our community transition unit and their staff, and they go through the voter registration procedures and processes that take place. That education and registering our men and women who are with us is very vital, because we have folks that are with us for a short time and are transitioning back to community. So we educate them on what they need to do once they get out so they can go to their polling places, or other questions that come about. Then we have balloting and custody practices. So real quick, talking about that, the Register Recorder's Office does a great job in putting together the materials. They put together their voter registration applications, and those are marked that they're coming into the custody facilities. So they're able to track. We do not determine eligibility at LASD, the Register Recorder does, but we put out all the information and encouragement to our population that they should register to vote. And we explain all the processes that go along with that. Then once the Register Recorder's Office gets all those completed voter registration applications, they start processing the ballots. Those ballots are then gathered. We are then notified that the ballots are ready for pickup. We pick up the ballots and we hand deliver them to our population. At that time, whoever receives the ballot has a decision to make if they want to complete it right then and there, or they want to complete it at a later time before the deadline. They actually have the option to put it in the mail if they want to, or they can come to the flex voting, and then they can cast their ballot via flex voting. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the transition upon release, we are very, very aware that a lot of our folks are with us for a short time, so we encourage them to go to their local polling places, and we give them that information. Next slide, please. And this slide just talks about the coordination between LASD and the Register Recorder, and what we do for our folks. And again, the Register Recorder, Dean Logan, his staff, prior to him, Connie McCormick and her staff have done amazing work, and really partnering with us and getting us the materials we need, and giving us the information and working with us through the deadlines and gathering not only the registration cards, but the ballots themselves. And then they supply us with secure lock boxes that we can place the ballots in, and we hand carry those ballots to the Register Recorder's Office. And then, of course, in flex voting that we do, which has been phenomenal. In our last campaign here for the primary, we had 2 days at NCCF, 2 days at Twin Towers, 2 days at CRDF, and 2 days at Med Central Jail of in-person voting. Next slide, please. So the structural coordination between these agencies function across several specific operational areas. Like I mentioned, the supply management and material distribution, and the information sharing and tracking. And that's been vital. And I did mention about eligibility determinations, that LASD does not determine eligibility. That's the Register Recorder. But we put out all the information, such as anything that's changed in the law, and we talk about that during our civics classes and our town hall meetings. And our next slide is some data from our primary election, June 2nd, 2026. So what you'll see on the left-hand side is for our entire jail population, we registered, well, registration applications were filled out for 1,436 folks that were with us. And there's the facility breakdown that you see there on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, we have the facilities, those that decided to mail, ballots collected in person, and then electronic flex voting. And then the numbers you see are folks that were released. So we take those ballots and we deliver those uncast ballots right back to the Register Recorder's Office. And our next and last slide. Next slide, please. Are some photos there. And those are photos that, starting from the top left, that is the flex voting machine. And then moving over to my right, you'll see that's at Twin Towers facility. And then the next two over on the top are at Men's Central Jail in the chapel. At the bottom, lower hand left side is CRDF, Men's Central Jail, Twin Towers, and CRDF. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Sure. Commissioner Harris.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. I was really curious about how you guys did this. It sounds like it's pretty robust operation. And thanks for that. Now I know what flex voting is, because that was my first question, and you answered that.
Sure.
Secondly, are they registered at their home address? Because I'm thinking that if there are local municipal issues, so they'd be able to vote on those, even though they're currently temporarily residing with the County of Los Angeles. So is that how it works? They're actually registered using their home address?
No, actually, when they register with the voter registration card, they'll utilize the address that they're physically at with us at the time. So if they're at Men's Central Jail, they're using that Bigness address. If they're at NCCF, they're utilizing that address for the Wayside facility.
Okay. So
And then we encourage them to re-register when they release.
Okay. So if they live in Lancaster, for instance, but they're at MCJ and there was a local municipal election at Lancaster, but they're still at MCJ, when the election takes place, they would not be able to vote for that local election. Okay.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question. And it's, are you in charge of the North County too for voting?
Yes.
Okay. Then my question is, because I did get a complaint from someone and I did talk to Sheriff Luna about it. So I'm glad that you're here discussing this. When a person has voted before in your custody and then for the next election, they don't get a ballot, I'm not sure, how do you handle that?
If we were to get that complaint, we take that directly to the Register Recorder. The Register Recorder has dedicated staff that will handle our population.
Okay, because I made a personal call myself to the Norwalk facility on this complaint that I received, and the person who answered the phone didn't have any idea of how things were done in North County.
Okay.
So I'll follow up on that since
Yeah.
you're saying that's out of your hands.
Yeah, our contact person at the Register Recorder is Philip Verbena.
Philip? The last name was what?
Verbena, Verbana.
Okay, I'll follow up with that, because the person was really concerned that they voted before and then they couldn't vote and they weren't able to get any.
Absolutely.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I do just want to raise, I guess, a contingent question about local elections that don't align with our regular elections. We still have some jurisdictions in Los Angeles County that try to conduct municipal elections off cycle for whatever reasons, and have avoided consolidation with our regular primary and general elections for various rationales. But it creates difficulty for perhaps people having their voice heard, especially when incarcerated in local elections. Is there any effort that you might take to allow for any additional voting by eligible people if that election date happens not to coincide with the June primary or the November general election. For instance, we just had two municipal elections in Lancaster and Whittier, where those were conducted off cycle in April, not aligned with the June or November cycle. One of those elections ended up being rather close in Lancaster. So every additional voice being able to be heard might be relevant. And I just want to ask what provisions might be taken to ensure having a voice in off-cycle or off-primary general elections.
Well, that's something we can definitely work with the register recorder on, for sure, because that is a very vital and important thing. We have worked on some other ballot measures where they were campaigns, I should say, where the dates were off, so we went into full swing, but we take that information from the register recorder, and then we go with their deadline dates for voter registration.
Thank you. So are you saying that you actually did allow eligible inmates to vote in the special election last November 4th, for which Prop 50 was the only item on the ballot? Was that an election in which, to the best of your knowledge, the incarcerated people under your custody might have had a chance to voice their vote?
I believe they did, but I will double check and report back.
Thank you. If you could,
Absolutely.
any report back on those two items also would be much appreciated.
Sure.
If that concludes,
Just one,
yeah.
just one quick last comment. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with the voter turnout in custody. I mean, I'm looking at that thing, and if the regular population voted at that percentage, boy, we'd be really doing something great. So my kudos to you. Obviously, somebody's doing something right there, and kudos to the incarcerated people for turning out and voting even after they registered. So
Oh, thank you.
pretty impressive.
We've had great partners. We've had, like you said, the League of Women Voters has been an incredible partner with us for many, many years now. And that Easy Voter Guide has just been phenomenal. And when we distribute that, we have a lot of folks that really look forward to going through that. We also, just to note, on our flex voting days, we invite our partners to come in. So we have the Public Defender's Office that will send representatives and just to watch and observe. We have other members from county governance. Esther Lim has been at one of our voting events. But it's really, really neat to see the civic engagement that really comes about during these times.
And before we shift to public comment, both on this item and on the prior reports of the chair and executive director, which we'll take shortly, I did just want to ask, because we're talking about voting, because we're talking about custody settings, it does beg the question whether you've had any complaints about allegations of pressure, of coercion, or duress in the voting exercise or in even voting selections voiced to you or to your team by any incarcerated person having to cast a ballot under such conditions. And I'm just wondering if there was any feedback in that regard. It doesn't sound like it, but I did just want to make sure that that question got asked.
Yeah, we do check with our custody support services in the grievance process to see if there's any complaints. There hasn't. It's the quite opposite. There's a lot of excitement, especially when, somebody casts their ballot, whether they're doing it in their living area and they put their sticker on and they'll walk around with their sticker, all day long, or they actually go to the in-person flex voting. So there's been a lot of really good energy, if you will, which obviously sounds odd to say, but when our observers come in and they're actually watching the voting and they're walking around and talking to people, whether they're visiting a classroom setting and talking to, an audience of 30 or 40 women, talking about the voting session and what's going on. But to go back to your question, I have received calls in the past from actual candidates in some races that have asked about our procedures because they want to ensure that nobody from the outside or a partisan is coming in to, try to sway, one way or the other on an issue.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And I guess one other last asterisk from your report back, are we to understand that those ballots returned that you identified are vote by mail ballots that were not cast Is that what
Correct.
what that item meant to signify?
Correct. On the slide.
Unused
Those are,
ballots.
those are folks that were released from our custody, but we had their
I
actual
see.
ballot
I see.
that's secured, that they didn't cast, and we returned those to the register recorder.
Got it. Thank you very much for that
Absolutely.
clarification. With that, we can turn to public comment on both the chair's and executive director's report and this educational item.
We have one public comment on item 9. Abdullah Puckett, if you could please take the microphone.
Good morning. I just want to thank you all again for considering our report, for looking into what we come up with. And I want to say that I was specifically sent to this meeting to invite you all, or to ask you all, both the commission and jointly or separately, the sheriff, to look into some of the other insights which we found, which of course the actual report only contains a very small fraction of the data and the information that we discovered. So if you would at any point like a further presentation of the data and the insights that we found, and some suggestions of things that you may be able to research. Of course, you have, or supposed to have, access to information that we don't and we can't access. However, we have some insights which may help guide you in accessing those things. At any time, feel free to contact us, $1 Million Hoods, and we have information that we would love to share with you. And now that, with my remainder time, I would just like to say one thing about voting in the jails. The fact is that people in jail have very limited access to information about candidates. And so it makes almost no sense to say that they have real access to voting when they have no access to be able to research the ballot measures and the candidates.
Thank you. We have 2 online public comments on agenda item 11. The first is from Yusef Miller. Yusef, you've been unmuted.
Miller, Saving Lives in Custody, California, the North County Equity and Justice Coalition. And in regards to voting rights, I would like to see an even more expansive access to voting to the people who are, quote unquote, not qualified to vote, because that being not qualified to vote really doesn't make any sense, being that there's very few wrong ways to vote. So how can we deny them the right to vote? I mean, if you vote as someone else or you vote twice, that's about it. If I wanted to vote for the Incredible Hulk, who I consider a person of color once he turns green, I'm able to do it. And then that person is not fined, they're not jailed, there's no, even if you voted for Captain America or Mickey Mouse, it's not, you can't, you just threw your vote away. So in this case, I think that the expansion of the franchise to all incarcerated people, no matter what their crime is, should be afforded to everyone. So I know, as the deputy said, there is no way that they're responsible for it. They just roll it out. But it's something for us to consider, to expand the franchise to all incarcerated persons and not those who are qualified or categorized for that. My second point, the categorizations of in custody deaths. I've always been a proponent for breaking out the natural deaths, so-called natural deaths, because, as I say, if a person is not given their proper medication in the proper time and they die from that, then that is not a natural death, although it may appear to be, because it's a neglect on behalf of the people serving them their medication. So if there's a heart medication, you're not getting your regular heart medication and you have a heart attack, although heart attack may be natural, the cause that led up to the heart attack or seizure or stroke or anything like that, that is not natural. So I believe in these categorizations, we need to break it out into.
Thank you. Our final online public comment on this agenda item is from Film the Police. You've been unmuted.
It's very telling, and I just want to make a point on the county's annual litigation cost report, where over 50% of the litigation costs for the county are with law enforcement, judgments and settlements, 50.6% to be exact. And for a department that gets about what, 4 billion a year, there should be at the very least, right, some sort of risk management that is undertaken, similar to what I believe the city controller for the LAPD has been calling for. But nevertheless, I just want to clarify, lawsuits, settlements, and the like are when something has completely failed, and that's something in the social fabric. In a just society, we would not need to have to file lawsuits and essentially go to war or to get people's affirmations of their civil rights and other various justices upheld. A lawsuit means everything has gone horribly wrong. It means that the department and everybody else that is at the leadership and even middle management layer has completely abandoned the people that they're supposed to serve, except for, of course, in the obvious accidents and situations where there truly is an unavoidable or unescapable incident. But those, by and large, should be the minority, not the clear, overwhelming majority that we see here. Over 50% of the county's litigation costs are law enforcement. Law enforcement is what eats up a majority of the county's money. My money, your money. It should not be this way. I personally don't want to add to that litigation cost for a simple PRA. I've asked this repeatedly. It's almost been a year now for a simple personal roster. Your own agency sheriff actually provides exact photos with names of the deputies, even their family members, on your social media pages. There should not be a need to take this to litigation and add to that cost. But yet here we are, we see on the county's own report. It is a shame.
Thank you. That concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you very much. And thanks again to Commander Garcia for such a valuable presentation and for the openness for follow-up that was expressed here. We are going to table the next item on the agenda, item 12A, in the interests of time and for the benefit of tackling it at our July meeting. That will allow us to proceed to item 12B, which is the nomination ad hoc committee presentation of the slate of nominees. This presentation will be succeeded by the brief reports from our ad hoc committees, which we skipped over earlier, but which we will come back to. So with that, I want to recognize the good work of the commissioner who took on this work of the nominating committee. That is Commissioner Irma Cooper. This report will include calls for nominations from the floor, candidate statements, and then later the approval of the final slate of nominees. And the officer elections will take place during the commission's July meeting. With that, I turn it over to Commissioner Cooper for the ad hoc committee's report.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I will briefly go over the few duties of the commission's chairperson and the first vice chair and the second vice chair. The chairperson shall preside at all meetings of the commission and shall conduct the business of the commission at all the meetings in accordance with the bylaws, the commission's handbook, and the Los Angeles County Code, Chapter 3.79. The duties of the chairperson shall include the following: attend the commission's leadership monthly meetings with the sheriff and the sheriff's department, executive staff, act as the spokesperson for the commission to make official statements for the commission or delegate this responsibility to another commissioner when needed. Serve as the ex officio member of the commission's ad hoc committees and ensure effective functioning of all committees of the commission. Work with the executive director and/or the commission staff to prepare the meeting's agenda to comply with the Brown Act standards and timeframes. Responsibility for setting the meeting's agenda rests with the chairperson and includes consultation with commissioners and the commission staff. preside over all the commission meetings by calling the meeting to order at the scheduled time, working with the executive director and the commissioner staff to verify the presence of a quorum, facilitating meetings in a fair, equitable manner and conscious of time constraints, and proper handling, communication, and voting on motions. Managing debate, maintaining decorum and the commissioner's code of conduct, and ensuring commission work is consistent with its mission and purpose. Be familiar with and conduct the meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order and bylaws and ordinance. The issue related to business processes, contact the executive director and/or commission staff. The first vice chair will serve as the commission's first officer of succession and assume the office of chairperson in the event of a vacancy in that office. The first vice chair assumes other duties as assigned by the chairperson. The second vice chair serves as the commission's second officer of succession and assumes the office of chairperson in accordance with the order of succession established by the bylaws. The second vice chair assumes other duties as assigned by the chair. Currently, we have one nominee for the chairperson position. The nominee is the current chair, Hans Johnson. Are there any other commissions that want to assume this position as chair?
Not me, I'm out of here.
Okay, I hear you, Miss Patty. Hearing no others, that position for chair is now closed. We have two nominees for first vice chairperson. The nominees are the current co-vice chairs, Luis S. Garcia and Arthur Holloway II. Are there any commissioners that want to nominate anyone else or themselves? Hearing none, the nominations for co-chairs, the first vice chairperson, is now closed. We have one nominee for the second vice chair position. The nominee is Commissioner George B. Newhouse Jr. Are there any other commissioners that want to nominate themselves or someone else for second vice chair? Hearing none, the position for the second vice chair is now closed. Now that we have given an opportunity to the nominees to provide their qualification comments to the commission, first we'll hear from Chair Johnson. Chair Johnson, you want to let us know why you should continue to be the chair of this commission?
Thank you, Commissioner. It's my honor to have served this commission as chair for the past year, standing on the shoulders of prior commissioners and prior commission chairs, one of whom was with us here today, Sean Kennedy, and one of whom left a long record of accomplishments in his work, former federal judge Rob Bonner. I'm pleased to do this work in part because volunteer service to the county takes independence, it takes determination, and it also requires some degree of spine in standing up for core principles about independence, integrity, and follow through on a series of issues that require ongoing juggling and maintained attention, even amidst agenda setting, amidst community events, amidst the internal governance of the commission, and amidst new developments that cast barriers or impediments in the path of honest oversight. When I took on this role last year, I made a commitment to strengthen the basis for our work as a commission work that remains ongoing, but which we took a major step forward just last fall in the enactment of AB 847, state legislation that strongly reaffirms civilian oversight in California and which strengthens our ability to do our job. And I made a commitment to ensure that this commission and its lessons connected with other oversight bodies, not only in California, but beyond our state. And it is noteworthy that even in the enforcement action filed this week by the commission, we were able to cite the work of a sister agency in Sonoma County and the lessons not only of the substance from that litigation, but the process of it from which the entities in Sonoma County had access to outside counsel. With that, I thank the commissioners for their confidence, for their collaboration, and their coordination in our work over the past year. And I look forward to taking on this work for the significant portions of a second term here and to carry on the mission and momentum of this commission in its work for honest public safety and for civilian oversight that can do its job. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Now we will hear from Co-Vice Chair Luis Garcia, letting us know why he wants to run for first Vice Chair.
Thank you, Irma. Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to offer this statement. I'm honored to stand for election as first Vice Chair of the Sheriff Civilian Oversight Commission. I have served on this commission since 2022, and as a Whittier area resident in SPA 7, I've worked to be present, prepared, and actively engaged in the work of civilian oversight here in Los Angeles County. Over the past year, I've also had the privilege of serving as co-vice chair, which has deepened my understanding of the responsibility, preparation, and collaboration required of commission leadership. I am seeking this role because I believe first vice chair requires steady follow-through, respect for governance, active participation in the commission's work, and the ability to help build bridges across the commission, county partners, LASD, and the communities we serve. Since joining the commission, I have participated in and helped support several major areas of our work. In 2023, I moderated the jail-focused public forum series, including Can People Get Well in the Cell? As chair of the Quality of Life Ad Hoc Committee, I also moderated the School Resource Deputy Public Forum series and supported the follow-up School Resource Deputy report. In 2025, I also led the Deputy Suicide and Wellness Forum and related work, which focused on trauma, stress, suicide prevention, and wellness within the department, and supported the development of the follow-up report on deputy wellness. I've also remained active in the commission's ad hoc work. As co-vice chair, I have helped lead the Protection of Media and Demonstrations Ad Hoc Committee, including efforts to better understand LASD training, media access, First Amendment protections, and law enforcement response during public demonstrations. Through that work, I attended LASD trainings as an observer, as was previously mentioned, including the media relations and social media training at Biscayne Center and the two-day First Amendment auditors course at the STAR Center, which was actually a post-certified training for sworn peace officers. Altogether this year, I've attended 3 LSD trainings totaling approximately 24 hours, including that 18-hour post-certified course. That was also attended by OIG. These trainings have also deepened my understanding of media access, First Amendment protections, public demonstrations, social media communication, de-escalation, and the importance of protecting constitutional rights during law enforcement operations. I've also sought to understand patrol operations, department training, and community policing more directly. Earlier this year, I completed a full shift ride-along at Century Station with a 32-year LASD veteran. During that shift, I observed the demands of patrol work firsthand, including a Code 3 response to a domestic violence call involving a man with a knife. During that response, an unidentified person threw a metal object that struck and cracked the patrol vehicle's windshield. Last month, Community Outreach Coordinator Robert Flores and I co-presented to LASD captains at the Captain's College at the STAR Center. I've also attended LASD Academy graduations, and I want to note these experiences do not change the need for accountability, but they deepen my understanding of the complex and sometimes volatile conditions deputies, community members and oversight bodies must navigate. And they also create opportunities to build bridges, communicate the role of civilian oversight, and support accountability through engagement, relationship building, and mutual understanding. I've also stayed engaged with local community concerns in my area. I've attended the unincorporated Whittier Community Advisory Committee and maintained communication with the Pico Rivera Station captain as part of my effort to build a bridge between the commission, the department, and the communities we serve. Jail conditions oversight has also remained a consistent part of my work with the commission. Since 2022, I've been inside the Los Angeles County Jail several times, including visits to the Men's Central Jail and Twin Towers Correctional Facility. This year, I participated in the Desk in Custody Forum, which focused on one of the most urgent areas of our oversight responsibility. On May 12th, I joined COC staff Ingrid Williams and OIG staff for the site visit to monitor the accessibility and availability of naloxone at Men's Central Jail and Twin Towers. And this visit was conducted in response to the Board of Supervisors' March 3rd, 2026 motion strengthening accountability to significantly decrease jail deaths in the LA County jails. And also, I've attended the FIP step-down graduations for one of the most vulnerable populations in the jail for the past 3 years. And I've also attended the Christmas Mass inside the jail for the past 2 years. I bring these experiences up because they're important reminders that oversight is not only about accountability after harm occurs, but also about human dignity, rehabilitation, transition, and public safety. This work is also personal and professional for me. As I've shared other times, I've earned my high school diploma while incarcerated in the jail. And in 2027, my doctoral dissertation focused on higher education opportunities in the Los Angeles County Jail. My title was Qualitative Research, Listening to the Experts, Correctional and Community College Administrators' Perceptions of How Collaboration Contributes to the Public Value of a Post-Secondary Correctional Education Partnership. Those experiences continue to shape how I approach oversight with lived experience, professional training, respect for governance, and a belief that accountability, rehabilitation, and human dignity must remain connected. Beyond LA County, I have continued to invest in my development as an oversight commissioner. I've attended NACOL in Fort Worth and in Arizona, and this year I submitted a proposal for the 2020 NACOL conference in Louisville, From Custody to Care, Expanding Civilian Oversight in Carceral Facilities. The proposal reflects one of the areas I believe our commission must continue to strengthen: oversight of jail conditions, behavioral health care, medical care, custody operations, and the systems that affect people in carceral settings. As first vice chair, I would bring a collaborative and steady leadership style grounded in preparation, follow through, and respect for the role of each commissioner. I believe the first vice chair should support the chair, support the full commission, and help ensure that commissioners have a meaningful opportunity to participate in the work before us. I also believe commission leadership must be responsive to staff requests that help move this work forward, including timely feedback, preparation for meetings, and follow through on committee responsibilities. That responsiveness is part of respecting staff capacity, maintaining momentum, and helping the commission operate in a disciplined and credible way. Commission leadership also must be respectful of differing views, grounded on our authority, mindful of the county governance structure in which we serve, and focused on moving the commission's work forward with integrity. Civilian oversight requires independence, credibility, discipline, and follow-through. And it also requires relationships, preparation, and the ability to work through complex issues without losing sight of the communities we are here to represent. In closing, I respectfully ask for your support for first vice chair. I remain committed to serving this commission with integrity, preparation, collaboration, and continued focus on transparency, accountability, and meaningful oversight of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Vice Chair Garcia. Now let's hear from the Co-Vice Chair, Arthur Callaway Jr. Let us know why you want to be the first Vice Chair.
Thank you. I think that supporting the mission of this commission is very important, and it's necessary for everyone to provide a strategy on us actually getting there. And so as a first vice chair, I would like to help guide us more in a strategy of using key performance indicators from the information that we already receive from the transparency page, and then devise a plan for us to be able to use that information to actually be proactive in making change. So I would like to help bring that to fruition. I want to make sure that as we move forward, that the message from the public comments start to change. We have people coming every month saying that they're waiting on information and that they need information. And as a commission right now, we're being stopped from actually helping. And I would like to move us more in a direction that makes it so that we can make sure that people are getting the information that they need when they need it. So as a first vice chair, I think that it's important to have somebody that's going to challenge respectfully and continue that message that we are here to provide oversight, and then figure out how can we do that with the information that we already have, and then also work on being able to access more information in the future. So I would really love everyone's support. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Vice Chair Callaway. We also have one person running for second vice chair. He is not here today. That is George Newhouse. He did leave me a statement to read, so I'm going to read his statement. George Newhouse is an attorney. So here we go. I, George Newhouse, am volunteering to run for vice chair of the Sheriff's Civilian Oversight Commission. Having spent the last 45 years of my legal career in and out of public service, but specifically in criminal law, both as a prosecutor and defense counsel. I also teach these subjects to undergraduate students at the University of Southern California. I feel qualified to take on this new assignment if it's felt that I can make a contribution. Having served for more than a decade as an assistant U.S. attorney in Los Angeles, and specifically with public corruption section of that office, and having run and supervised during that time scores, if not hundreds, of investigations, I understand what it takes to perform a fair, thorough, and sufficient investigation. It is critical and vital that we work with COC to obtain the investigative tools necessary to do its job, to issue subpoenas and review investigative reports. At the moment, by design, and some would say these tools are being denied to the COC, and it is of vital importance that we work to overcome these institutional obstructions that have blocked our path, thus denying our citizens the oversight that they have repeatedly voted for and deserve to receive. That must change. That is my commitment. Sincerely yours, George Newhouse. I want to thank George for considering sending in a statement, even though he was trying to catch that plane. So I understand vacation and family comes first. So thank you, George. Also, in your packet, you should have information on each one of these candidates that are running for office. And I want to thank each and every one of them, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. That report having been made, is there a motion to approve the final slate of candidates who have accepted nominations for the positions of chair, first vice chair, and second vice chair for the term of July 2026 to July 2027? Commissioner Giggins, I recognize you. Is there a second? Yes, Commissioner Hicks. With that, we are open for discussion. The motion on the floor is to approve the final slate of candidates as discussed by the nominating committee. This is subject to comment by commissioners. And with that, we shall proceed to any public comment. Not seeing any comment from commissioners.
Chair Johnson, we don't have any public comment on this item.
All right, thank you very much. With that, let's proceed to a vote on the motion to approve the final slate of candidates who accepted nominations for the positions of chair, first vice chair, and second vice chair for the term of July 2026 to 27. When I call your name, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay, and those who abstain, please signal abstain. We will start with Commissioner Harris.
Aye.
Commissioner Hicks. Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Newhouse, not here. Co-Vice Chair Callaway. Commissioner Cooper.
Aye.
Co-Vice Chair Garcia. Commissioner Giggins. And Chair Johnson votes aye. With 8 in favor, none opposed, and no abstention, the motion to approve the final slate of candidates who have accepted nominations for the positions of chair, first vice chair, and second vice chair has been approved. Thank you very much, commissioners. With that, we return back to our ad hoc committee reports. I first want to recognize the Budget Ad Hoc Committee with Commissioner J.P. Harris. Any reports from the Budget Ad Hoc?
Yes, thank you. The committee continues its work related to the LA County Sheriff's Department's fiscal year 26-27 budget priorities and unmet needs. Since the commission's adoption of the budget staff report and transmission of related correspondence to the Sheriff's Department and the CEO, the commission received a formal written response from the Sheriff's Department and the CEO. In its response, LASD expressed appreciation for the commission's support of LASD's identified budget priorities and funding needs and indicated its intent to continue publicly posting its 5th-month written budget status report as part of its commitment to transparency. Consequently, the commission staff provided committee members with a status update regarding the future of the Budget Ad Hoc Committee. After consideration, committee members expressed support for concluding the committee's work for the current budget cycle and dissolving the Budget Ad Hoc Committee at an upcoming COC meeting. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I should note for the record that Commissioner Jamon Hicks has departed. We are down to 7 commissioners. And with that, we will skip Commissioner Hicks' discipline ad hoc report. But we will shift to the Protection of Media and Demonstrations Ad Hoc Committee. Co-Vice Chair Garcia, do you have a report from that ad hoc?
Yes. Commission staff recently contacted LASD regarding board motion honoring the 55th anniversary of the Chicano moratorium, confronting ongoing injustices and ICE raids in Los Angeles County. Staff requested an update on the department's progress in completing the directives contained in the motion. On June 16th, we received the new media-related policies from LASD, which were forwarded to the ad hoc commissioners. The ad hoc lead, along with myself, with Community Special Robert Flores and OIG, attended, as was mentioned, the 16-hour First Amendment auditor training. No further update.
Okay, thank you. With that, any report from the Complaints Ad Hoc Committee? Co-Vice Chair Callaway.
Yep, the Complaints Ad Hoc Committee continues the work of bringing forth the dashboard for complaints. We have the business requirements document from the Executive Office Project Management Team. We are reviewing that document, making sure that we have everything that we need in order to report, to track complaints, and create an actual workflow so that we can all, everyone can use it from the county governance. So the staff leadership will also review the document for approval. The committee has also reviewed information regarding both the complaint and grievance process. And then the next steps is to incorporate all of the feedback for that document, and then continue reviewing the intake process, reporting requirements, and the functionality that we're going to need. Thank you.
Is there any time frame, given I know how lengthy the review of the dashboard, even the efforts to get access and to view the dashboard has been? Is there any time frame for the possible launch or the possible piloting of a complaint dashboard?
We'll get that information after we do the actual, what is the name of it?
Demonstrate?
No, business requirement document.
Oh, thank you.
So once we get all that information in there, then they will be able to tell us how long it's going to take to build, because we just need to give them requirements.
Well, thank you. It's great to have your acumen, especially with systems and programming deployed for this purpose, Co-Vice Chair Callaway. I'll note on behalf of the Legal Ad Hoc Committee that the Legal Ad Hoc Committee met in preparation for the enforcement action filed on June 15th. That has followed through and has been discussed at length at this meeting, but I do urge all stakeholders and others interested in that enforcement action to pay attention to the subsequent developments in that filing and to follow the reports from this commission regarding the status of that filing. With that, I want to recognize the Jail Conditions and Staffing Committee. Do you have a report from that ad hoc, Commissioner Cooper?
Yes. In accordance with the Board of Supervisors' March 3rd motion, strengthening accountability to significantly decrease jail deaths in the Los Angeles County jails, Co-Vice Chair Garcia, Commissioner Newhouse, and COC staff joined the OIG team to conduct site visits at the Men's Central Jail and Twin Towers to monitor the accessibility of Narcan in the county jails. Commissioners may share their observations from this visit, including any concerns identified in areas requiring continuing monitoring. Garcia, you want to make a comment about your visit in terms of the Narcan?
Sure. I know I briefly commented on what we observed, and one of the things that I did discuss with OIG staff was possibly getting like a report or limited, like to that visit so that we can review it under the ad hoc. So follow up on that.
Okay. Narcan is really important. We tried to make sure that that drug was accessible to try to decrease some of the deaths that are caused by overdose of drugs. So we will continue to monitor that, because to have the drug and it's not accessible to the inmates, it's not any good. So we want to make sure that those medications are there and accessible. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. We've heard your report. Actions speak louder than words as it relates to the nominating committee. So that has been fulfilled. I do want to recognize Commissioner Harris. Any report from the Deputy Gangs and Deputy Cliques Ad Hoc Committee?
No, no report.
Okay, thank you. And on behalf of the Technology Committee, where we continue to monitor automated license plate readers in the county, and we continue to pay more than passing attention to the use of drone technology by the department. We do get periodic updates about that, and we are continuing to monitor both areas of technology deployment by LASD. And on behalf of the Governance Committee, we met several times in the course of the past several weeks to review and to make revisions to the operating bylaws of this commission, and that will be brought forward as noted for the July agenda. Having been attached to this agenda, that will be carried forward. With that, that concludes our ad hoc reports. I do want to note for the record that we were to be joined today by a representative of the Civil Brand Commission. Unfortunately, some 11th hour work-related demands by Kate Hennigan Ohanessian made her unavailable. With her regrets, she intends to come back to report for us on the July agenda. And with that, I will take any public comments about this item that we might have.
Hans, if I could.
Oh, before that, yes, Commissioner Harris.
I would just like to comment on the report that the Civil Brand Commission recently issued regarding the water situation at CRDF. I really hope the Sheriff's Department will exert its leadership role in trying to get this issue resolved. I know it's extremely long-standing, but it appears to be it's an issue with the city of Linwood and their water and providing water to that facility. But it has gone on so long, and it's just, to me, it's inexcusable that this has been allowed to happen. I'm not blaming the sheriff's department for it per se. It's really the municipal government has failed in ensuring that there's a decent water source for CRDF. The report, I hope the sheriff's department has reviewed it. If not, I bring it to your attention to please have a look at it because it's very extensive. I have to admit, I was a little skeptical of the degree of the problem previously. Now that I've read that full report, I am convinced there is a massive problem there that needs to be addressed. I hate to sound legal, but it needs to be addressed forthwith because we just cannot allow the people in our custody to not have at least the very basics of clean drinking water in their cells. The issue of insects and bugs in their drains, that seems to me that we can come up with a solution to that. I could come up with a solution to that, which I won't bother you with right now, but I can share with you later if necessary. But I just hope the department is really looking at this situation seriously because I'm just shocked at how bad it appears it is. Even if half of it is not true, it's still horrible. And I don't believe that half of it is not true. I think the entire report speaks for itself. So I hope the department will take a good hard look and exert whatever influence they can with the city of Linwood, Public Works, Public Health, in getting this issue resolved as quickly as possible.
Well, thank you for that, Commissioner. And I could reassure you, we are taking it serious. We are working with the Linwood Water District that provides not only water to the facility, but to the surrounding residents, correct? And measures have been taken even within our department through facility services to do filtration systems from the main water source coming in. There's studies that I won't get into the details, but they will reveal that there has not been any evidence that raises to the concerns that we would all have, but there's still areas of improvement. In regards to the you alluded to any type of bug or insects. It just anecdotally speaking, it happens in the trap system, where people groom themselves in near that area, and then follicles get clogged in the trap, and then people wash food items within that same area, and then that creates larvae and what have you. But to your point, there's products that are being distributed so it could create cleaning in those pipes. As your point, it's a very simple, just messaging, marketing, and ensuring that the substances and liquids are available to them. But I will let the report speak for itself. But I could reassure you that it's going to reassure you. I'll say that.
Thank you.
Have you toured that facility yourself recently?
I have, sir.
And do you have any upshots from that you have not already passed along, or that you might be able to share at our next meeting? Because I have a feeling this issue might be agendized for our next meeting. Anything you might be able to share in advance, or would you be willing to come back and make a further response?
Sure, we can have our subject matter experts that have been intimately involved and tasked with this observance of the concern.
Thank you. I just want to note for the executive director and for other commissioners that we should plan to agendize this for our July meeting. We have other business, certainly, and a good volume of it for that agenda, but this, anyone who tuned in to the May meeting of the Civil Brand Commission heard the gravity and even, I would say, the reaction of the staff of LASD to the severity of the reports provided there. Literally intolerable and dehumanizing conditions that were documented at that May meeting of the Civil Brand Commission. So thank you, Commissioner Harris, and thank you to the department for willingness to come back and deal with this urgent and deeply upsetting issue of water quality and of pestilence in the water system. With that, do we have public comment?
We have one online public comment from Audit LA. You have been unmuted.
I want to talk about the Church of Scientology and its massive abuses and its marriage to the sheriff's department. It's also married to LAPD, but we've talked to them a lot and they are starting to wake up. I'm asking for you to wake up. I was at their court. I am my press credentials. I was at one of their court cases. And
Excuse me, this needs to be relevant to the item at hand, which is the reports of the ad hoc committees. We can take non-agenda public comment at the end of the
I'm
meeting.
sorry. That's where I thought we were. I jumped on late. My apologies.
Is there germane public comment for this item?
There's no further public comment on this.
Okay, can we go to, with that having been the final item of business by the commission, can we shift to consideration of non-agenda public comments and take those first? We'll come back to the caller whom we just interrupted.
Yes, we have 5 in-person public comments, and we'll start with Mr. Steve Hill. And if Olivia Fitzsimmons can take the cue.
Hello, my name is Steve Hill. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and retired peace officer for the state of California. I was falsely arrested and had my weapons confiscated on March 7th, 2022 for exercising my First Amendment rights. Here's a refresher. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people to peacefully assemble to petition the government for a redress of grievances. To Judge Ronald Owen Kay, who I was forced to go to his courthouse, which is a mental courthouse, which I've never been in a mental institution in my life, who knows everything that happened to me and chose to do nothing. To Congressman George Whiteside, who wrote out in chronological order of everything that happened to me and chose to do nothing. And please, Commission, don't take this as a threat, but there has to be accountability for what has been done to me. There has to be accountability, and there will be accountability in people that denied me of my justice will be held accountable. To Chair Hans Johnson, thank you for agreeing to investigate this matter. And I thank you guys. I've come down here for 4 years now. I've been respectful, haven't raised my voice, haven't used any foul language, civil. Once again, thanks for looking into this matter. You guys have a nice day.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Olivia Fitzsimmons. And if Patricia Mendoza can take the cue.
Hello, I am Olivia Irene Fitzsimmons, and I am protected by stand MA079850, and I'm reporting a missing in action infant in custody death due to law enforcement in April 2026 calling my cell phone on Orange Drive in Fountain Avenue. Law enforcement stated my infant was removed from the court-appointed caregiver PA a month after he was placed in September 2025. As of May 28, 2026, a Department of Children and Family Services caseworker emailed myself a statement that stated my son is placed with court-appointed caregiver PA. I, his mother, was denied by the Superior Court of California a DNA test as of March 2026, and then denied an appeal as of May or June 2026. I am reporting an in-custody death of a missing in action infant stated by law enforcement and the Department of Children and Family Services of my son. I'm reporting the Superior Court of California for denying a DNA test twice and reporting the Department of Children and Family Services for full felony charges against myself, as well as increasing the violation of the stand MA079850, as well as child endangerment on behalf of Department of Children and Family Services for placing my son in the PA's care after the PA violated the Criminal Protective Order Domestic Violence MA079850 that protected myself, Olivia Fitzsimmons, from the withholding of my son, and is legally stated in that document. And she took my son and kept he from me, along with the perpetrator that I am protected from. And the state of California, on behalf of the Department of Children and Family Services, placed my son with that withholder, which is not legal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next public comment is from Patricia Mendoza, and if Jesus Gomez could please take the cue.
Yes, I would like to say, I feel like they gave me a slap in the face and a white glove, that there's no funds to clean what's going on inside the jails. I've heard horrible stories. I think it should be a matter of urgent ASAP. I'm pretty sure President Bukele from Salvador has better conditions for those criminals over there. And everybody's getting a good fat pension, a good fat check. Everybody's giving in a silver platter, funds, Section 8, money, and there's no money to fix these jails here in California. It's sad, it's a shame, because we live in a country where there's so much money. No difference when the Dodgers came at the Dodger Stadium. They removed all those people because they brought them over here to make thousands of apartments in New York. And they removed these people really bad. And as of today, no one has filed a lawsuit. Here I'm going to City Hall believing that they're going to help us. I'm the little person in the community. I have to live with cockroaches, with rats, with bed bugs, with homeless, getting off the bus, thinking they're going to stab me and beat me up. When are we going to see that change? Talking about reform. I mean, I think I'll be dead when I see that change. We got to wait for a light while people are crossing the street with their children and they're being killed. We have to wait 30 years just to get the light. Why is it as soon as possible? It's an urgent matter. These people, sir, with all due respect, ASAP. There's a lot of people that want to work. Get someone that's independent and pay them for them to fix all these toilets, these showers, this filthiness that there is in the jail, especially here in downtown. Why? Why do we have to wait so many years? Why? Everybody retires with the big fat check.
Thank you.
Thank
Next-
you.
Our next public comment is from Jesus Gomez, and Ms. Mendoza is going to help
Thank
translate
you. I'm
for
going to
her.
interpret. The last time we were here, we talked about Ms. Gomez losing her condo. I went back to court for the 4th time. The courthouse of El Monte, City of Amani, and West Covina. The case, when she lost her condo, she did get evicted by the new owner. He had a corporate attorney. She had a private attorney. They never left the 5 notice and red letters, including Saturday and Sunday, that the sheriffs will come and vacate and make sure they lock the doors on her condo. They have the nerve, these 2 sheriff's officer, Garcia and Gutierrez, that told the daughter that was disabled when she was the only one there. She asked for 3 favors. Can I get the leash of my dog? They said, well, I don't know. Okay, go ahead. Can I get the keys of my father's car? Because it's parked outside. I'll go get it. He went upstairs right away. The third thing the daughter said, can I get my daughter's heart monitor? Because she was in the hospital. She's a minor in middle school. They both use a heart monitor to monitor their heart, and it's like patches connected to the machine. Officer Garcia and Gutierrez said, no, you're not able to get it. That's malice, that's malicious. Those officers should be removed. So this job was an inside job, hush, hush. And the reason they never put the notice of 5 days, because first you go to the window and you fill out forms and you pay $145. Then they said, okay, they stamp it, go to the sheriff's, you pay $40. Both were never done at the West Covina and El Monte. They were never done. Of course, they never put the 5-day notice. They couldn't do it. So I did give notice to the corporate attorney for the new investor, and someone should be held responsible for all the damages of her property. The owner, the new investor that bought, let a whole bunch of people go in and destroy her property. It took her 4 months to get her property back. Thank you.
Our next public comment is from Raquel Derfler. If you could please take the podium.
I think we're in afternoon, yeah. So almost 2 years ago, the Board of Supervisors unanimously passed a motion by Supervisor Holly Mitchell amending the agreements for law enforcement services. The motion was created to make guidelines for school resource deputies' contacts with students, as well as calls for data collection around these contacts. The board sought to reduce the disproportionate contacts the SRDs were having with our Black and Latinx students. At the time of the motion's passing, the board was very concerned about LASD's statement of work, which did little to address the racial disparities and limited the contract to 1 year to give the department time to create language that would better embody the true spirit of its motion. Inexplicably, LASD failed to create any new language for its 2025-2026 contract, and once again, the board limited that contract to a year to give them more time and to create the requested data regarding student contacts to determine if their motion was providing the protections that it was created for. This commission also authored a report with its own recommendations for school resource deputy contracts with students. Data collection was a large part of these recommendations to see statistics on the number of SRD contacts with students, including demographics, the reason for the contact, and outcomes. So I am here to state that 2 years later, no data has been provided. What is available on the department's transparency page is a joke. It just gives the number of arrests in the schools and the number of citations given out, but no data around, who the student was, what the contact was for, what was the outcome. So I am requesting that this board actually reach out to the Board of Supervisors and to encourage them to limit this year's contract to another year. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first online public comment is from Audit LA. You have been unmuted.
Hello. Hi, I want to continue where I was. I'm talking about the marriage of Scientology with the Sheriff's Department and LAPD. I am a member of the press. I am also an advocate of Scientology. Some of, I believe you may hear from today. And I go to the court cases now. I am to just monitor and see what's going on. And I went this past week with Scientology suing LAPD for CPRA request. I'm in a chair. I'm a senior. I'm disabled, and I sat where I was told to sit by the court. And coming out, their lead attorney, Kendrick Moxon, ran his big briefcase thing into my foot. And mind you, I said, I'm a senior and I'm disabled in a chair. And then he pulled it back some and did it again because I guess it was a tight squeeze. The third time he figured out that how to get around me, which was a no-brainer. And because I'm under such attack from Scientology, they've been writing me slanderous things about me in their magazines. They're trying to get me arrested for no crimes. It's not even committing a crime, but they're trying to, push an issue like they did before. They get people, arrested for, I don't know, removing a Christmas wreath that was ordered by the city to be taken down, the bogus crap. And so they're trying, whatever they're trying to do for me, I'm at this battle. But the point is, okay, there was no bailiff in that courtroom, okay? And when I tried to report what happened to me, the sheriff said there's no supervisors there and that they can't take my report because they have to investigate before they take a report. And that doesn't make sense. All my life, I was a police science major. I've been on police commissions and I mean, on like CPABs and stuff. Never in my life have I heard where a victim doesn't report first and then it's investigated. So you got some real shenanigans going on. And then when I call for follow-up, they just, well,
Thank
no,
you.
we're not.
Our next online public comment is from Deanna Brock. Deanna, you've been unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Okay, I just want to say that the oversight cannot do their job without the subpoena power, and AB 847 gave that subpoena power to these oversight commissions by becoming law on January 1st. The three subpoenas that the commission has been working on, my son Emmett Brock, Andres Guardado, and Joseph Perez, these are being subpoenaed in the first place due to lack of transparency and redacted reports. The information that the commission is asking for will only be shared behind closed doors, and it is regarding the misconduct and the redacted documents of these cases. This is not going to be made public. The dispute over the process of giving the information, no one is wanting to trample the employees' rights. These are officers, deputies that have been involved in misconduct, and the oversight commissions need to be able to see those full reports. Like I said, with my son, they investigated themselves and determined that there was no use of excessive force, which we all know now was not true. And the legal process of the meet and confer goes on forever. Also, county council, it's a conflict of interest to represent both LASD and the COC. I also would like to say that I do appreciate all of the efforts of everyone on the commission, especially Hans Johnson and Arthur Callaway, who always ask the hard questions in these meetings. And I appreciate the advocacy and transparency to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next online public comment is from Cindy Nunez. Cindy, you've been unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon, Commission. I just quickly wanted to thank you guys for everything you guys do. We all know that every task, every fight that you guys fight with us is not easy. So I personally truly appreciate each and every one of you. Commissioner Giggins, good luck with everything that comes your way. May God bless you and thank you for your service as well. And one last thing, thank you to Commissioner Callaway for not forgetting about this complaint system, the committee. You are truly appreciated on my end, as we all know how important this complaint system within LASD has failed so many families, including myself. And it's truly, truly very important to us. And thank you guys for continuing your efforts, your efforts and all that, because these complaint system, I don't think people understand how crucial it is when you do have issues within LASD. LASD, they want you to complain, and bring and voice it out, and you do, and they find a way to manipulate the complaint system, with me, with my harassment, with retaliation against me and my family. Deputies from Lancaster Station taking pictures of me and my kids. And then come March, we find out that one of the deputies from Lancaster Station, Deputy Darren Van Arsdale, has been allegedly arrested and booked and has charges for lewd acts with minors. So this is exactly why I've complained, and I've submitted and followed your system that doesn't work, because we have officers, the same officers taking pictures of my children are now being arrested for lewd acts with children, with minors. So it's very crucial, and just thank you guys so much for your hard work, and I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Our final online public comment is from Film the Police. You've been unmuted.
I just want to add some context to the speaker. Audit LA mentioned the department was Department 834, and the date and location was June 16th of this week, and that was at the Stanley Mosque Courthouse. The hearing was scheduled at 9:30, and I believe it ended just right at lunch. So for a further follow-up, just so you know, that's what she's particularly referring to. And I want to circle back on that and really bring it to context, right? When we have, just like the previous caller mentioned, you have these secretive deputies that do this type of targeted harassment campaign. This is why we need the LASD personnel roster complete with officer photos from the official department photos, so that we can have what the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition has, but for the LASD. We need public transparency because there's so much misconduct of officers going totally rogue, masking their names despite being in policy to identify ourselves. This is why we, the people, need and have a direct public interest to know who exactly is doing these targeted campaigns of harassment. Who exactly are these officers that are supposed to be serving us, the people, protecting us? This is a big interest. The PRA I submitted clearly reflects as such, and we have a right to know who the people sworn by law to protect us, the people, not their own personal interests are. And so I hope that you do investigate. I hope the timeliness of that PRA comes to light, and I look forward to helping your mission of transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment.
Thank you, Robert. With that, the chair just takes a moment of discretion to recognize someone joining us here today from the Civil Grand Jury of Los Angeles County. I want to commend the Civil Grand Jury for its work over the past year in particular, to interview members of this commission and many stakeholders in the work of this commission, and to file a report which, in one of its recommendations, Item 1.4 finds that the Civilian Oversight Commission should have its own independent legal staff, and that county council should not be involved in recommending or selecting outside counsel for the COC. This considered recommendation from the Civil Grand Jury in its final report of the 25 to 26 term reflects the extensive research, interviewing, and investigations conducted by this civil independent group of volunteers whose considered prudence and experience in many channels of governance throughout Los Angeles County are reflected in its volunteer work that has included attendance at many of our COC meetings. So I want to thank the members of the Civil Grand Jury for their work, and also to note that a new Civil Grand Jury is due to be impaneled as of July 1st. I want to thank the outgoing chairperson of the Civil Grand Jury, Dennis Martinez, and I want to thank all members who've contributed to this report. With that, we have no further business for this meeting. We commend once again our departing Commissioner Patty Giggins, whose seat will be vacant at the next meeting, possibly, but whose presence on this commission will be felt for months and years to come. Do I hear a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
I move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
With that, voice vote, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Our next meeting is July 16th. Thank you.